Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, Arvanauts. Welcome, everyone, to day 16 of Adventures in Middle-earth, Erebor Adventures of Hammers and Anvils. It is a new adventure today. Well, it's a new part of the Erebor Adventures. And just realized I was muted. Yes. Yes. It's been a great day. Can I just say, chat? It's been a great day. A good way to make your day start out right is to be on the phone with really rude people from the Department of Motor Vehicles. That's a super good way to begin your day. Let me just tell you. Let me start that again. Welcome, Arvanauts, to day 16. I already said this of Adventures in Middle-earth, Erebor Adventures of Hammers and Anvils. I hope everyone is doing well, better than I am, and I hope you're all looking forward to what I expect is going to be an awesome stream today. Before I talk about that, let me just talk a little bit about ways to support the stream. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to follow the channel. That is always appreciated. Please check out our YouTube with !ArvTube, our Discord with !ArvCord, our Twitter with !ArvTweets, and the website for all of this is arvanelleron.com. On the financial side, !ArvShop is the merchandise area where you can check out past broadcasts of this and other streams. Wait, what did I just say? Our shop, the merchandise area. Sorry, I went into automatic autopilot because I saw the YouTube stuff being posted there. Arv Shop is the merchandise area where you can get stuff for Adventures in Middle-earth, like we're playing today, and stuff for the D&D Infinity and Beyond crew and elsewhere. That is going to be probably undergoing a certain overhaul in the not too distant future, so that is going to be happening. But and also possibly some Esper Genesis stuff, although given recent events, there may be a delay on how that gets transferred over to the stream, so we will to the shop, so we'll see how that all goes. !ArvTreon is the Patreon. We have currently 21 patrons at $193 per month, which is really appreciated because that really is the financial backbone of the channel and makes it possible for us to do lots of cool stuff. So we will say how all of that goes down in terms of the number going up. I hope the number continues to go up because it'll let us get to various channel goals and also cool individual stuff as well. Yeah, changes to the shop, Echo. And so, yeah, that's the Patreon, !ArvTreon. The sub button is, of course, there as well, and anyone who's able to sub to the channel, that is very much appreciated as well. Allows you to give inspirations to the players and allows you to also get those custom sub badges and emotes, which are good things as well. On the publishing side, !Icarus, I have some very exciting information coming due about that, by the way, that I'm going to be able to announce very shortly. In fact, there's a fairly big announcement coming within the next day or so about relating to Icarus, which I'm just cannot wait to share with all of you. It's coming very soon. And of course, we have, besides that, we have and also stuff from Mathis in general. Also, Library is Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, which is our 5e adventure and source book from Alligator Alley Entertainment, from Brian Dalrymple as the graphic designer and art director, of course, who sadly passed away recently. So it's even more poignant, that book for me, and it's going to be coming out it's already out in digital and will be coming out in physical just as soon as U.S. Customs decides to get it off the damn dock where it's been sitting now for 2 months. Just a little frustrated about that too. But that's coming soon. Grayshade KS is my Grayshade Kickstarter. We'll have more details about the Grayshade Kickstarter coming very shortly. That's going to be in early April. So more details about that coming soon. And then we have, beyond that, the stuff as always. BLM is the Black Lives Matter. Very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives in this society. Help Now is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Oh, that's good, Echo. I'm glad to hear that. So yes, important to reach out to others when they need help and to reach out to others when you need help as well. Quick note on schedule. We have got, obviously, Erebor Adventures going on now. Today, we are going to be over on GOG. Now, I want to make everyone note, again, that this is starting Eastern Time 1 hour later because of the daylight savings time difference between us and Europe, starting, and UTC, I guess I should say. Next week, that will all be synced up again, and so today only, we are going to be doing 5 to 8 p.m. p.m. Eastern instead of 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern. After today, that will go back to the normal 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern time. So just a heads up, we're going to be playing D&D with GOG, Storm King's Thunder, as usual, which is very exciting. We have a full crew today. That's happening then. And then tomorrow evening, we have got Community D&D with the amazing Shadow crew, Trifity Mats, Echo Alpha X5, Rock God, and Hoodie with Shadowed Mage as your DM. That'll be happening tomorrow evening. Thursday is off. Friday evening, we have got Rebel Crown that I will be participating in. I'm getting my second vaccination dose on Thursday, so this is assuming that I don't get knocked for a loop by the side effects of the second vaccine. I hope I do not, but obviously it'll be better to be protected against COVID naturally. So nonetheless, maybe I hope I'll get lucky and won't have any of them, but whatever. I'm not sure how I'll feel until the day comes, but that's going to be Friday evening. And again, that will be Friday evening is for Rebel Crown, which is the Speculate Twitch event, which is me playing along with other players with Mike Underwood as your GM. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then Saturday, we have Metroid Prime, as I now have everything set up in the office. I moved in with all the games, although I have not yet set up all of the, and I've got all the tech stuff set up, although I don't yet all have the books set up. I have to brace the bookshelves against the wall so they don't fall over, which would kind of be bad. And then once that's done, I'm going to put the books up, but we are getting there. We've made big progress in the office. And so yes, in the streaming space. So more about that to come. So that is what we've got going on. Oh, and then last but certainly not least, Sunday, we've got more Sound Clash the Clampdown with Brandon O'Brien. So that's the week to come. I'm very excited about it, and I hope you folks are as well. And with that said, I am now going to unmute myself so that the folks know that we are ready to go. And I apologize as always for interrupting them if I did so. And then I'm going to unmute them.
We're having this incredibly intelligent conversation about anticyclonic tornadoes, and then boom, God drops in. It's like, I made it that way. Like, shut up.
Cyclonic, you bore. Yes, it is good to see everyone here. And as you can see, we have the full crew. Also, I will note, since I was showing this off before, that this is now the fully operational battle station, so to speak. All of my games are now put up here. I have the full, that is 4 editions worth. You probably can't see it because of the mic. 4 editions worth right there of Dungeons and Dragons. We have got, I've got the red box. I've got the basic, the immortal rules, the original AD&D. I've got 2nd edition. I have 3rd edition, 4th edition, 5th edition. I've also got multiple other games, including a whole bunch of Adventures in Middle-earth books, tons of modules and the like. I've got all the DM screens. I've got games you've never heard of, like Amoeba Wars from Avalon Hill. Many of you probably haven't even heard of that company, let alone the game itself. So anyway, it's great. And I don't think I'm going to be teaching remotely in the fall. It looks like we're going to be going back to in-person. But if I ever do again, I look forward to being able to heavily rely on my tenured position to be able to put whatever the hell I want in my background. And that's the way that I do things. So I'm very excited about it. Say again, what's that?
Living the dream.
Living the dream, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But anyway, and I absolutely love this place, and I love the light. There's so much light, no lighting at all. It's just, and I had to like dial the aperture of the camera way down because it gets super bright, but I love it. So
can I just say, like, so okay, first of all, you are in like the topmost level.
Yes, the finished attic.
Right. In the captain's.
In the sea captain's 200-year-old home. Yes.
That's the one with the exposed. It literally looks like you're in a ship in the first place. Second of all, I was going to say that I feel like you have enacted a transformation, like you've gone from Gandalf the Grey to Gandalf the White in this space.
Nice. Outstanding. The pieces are set. The board is set. The pieces are moving.
Do you have any ship creaking sound effects that you could add to this particular adventure, Greg?
You know what's funny? Actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I sadly do not close to hand, but this house gets a decent amount of wind. And so I actually named this Wind Coast Studio because first of all, you can see the ocean from the window on that side of the chimney. Secondly, when you're in here at night, like literally, like it's the best. And I happen to love wind anyway. So, thank you, Terry. Terry with the with the subscription literal glow up. Yeah, exactly.
Aw.
It's totally true. Yes, so I really like the wind, and yeah, you can, when you feel the wind at night. Someone was like, they're like, well, what if the house is haunted? I'm like, geez, I hope so. I'm like, I can get down with the sea captain whose name I won't give because it'd make it awfully easy for you to find where I am. But yeah, no, I'm down with that. It honestly,
Trent can tell for sure.
yeah, right.
We have just found out.
Oh, really? As to whether
Yes.
something is haunted, you mean?
If there are ghosts, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? How do we? Well, since that's a good segue,
Okay, no,
actually.
no, skip
No,
it. Move
you
on.
don't want to know.
No,
I don't want to know.
no,
No.
not while we're streaming. No,
Oh boy, it's one of those trend stories, right? I shall.
not really.
It's real creepy. It's real creepy.
It's real creepy.
And it's a story you've heard before.
Oh, okay. You may. All right. Yeah. I think. Yeah. Okay. Out of the many stories that Trent has told me. All right. No, I think I. Anyway. But yeah. So I'm really, really pleased to be here. Not so pleased to be dealing with Connecticut DMV, but otherwise, I am very pleased to be in this place. I feel very fortunate, and it's a really nice place. And it's great, and it's a great place to be doing gaming with all of you folks. And to that end, I will ask the players to introduce themselves, beginning with the gentleman who is filled with stories, ones that I remember and do not remember. And that is about, that of course is our friend Trendade Sparks, who is going to tell us all about every story. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say hi and how you doing and how's life and who are you playing, Trent?
I am doing okay. I was doing really good. I had two tuna fish sandwiches and I ate avocado, and then
good.
I realized that I couldn't remember what I had chosen for the thing last time we played, because there was so much talk about Nightgoer. I couldn't remember if I chose that or something else, and I didn't want to ask Amal because I knew she would say, regardless of what I chose, that I chose Nightgoer.
Yes.
So,
She's
Slander.
Nightgoer.
Slander in life. I
So-
only speak the truth.
uh-huh.
And the truth
And
is
the truth is,
that you chose Nightgoer.
yes.
So
Is this another Blazeball reference? Is this
no.
Okay.
No.
No, it's about like what he chose during the fellowship phase.
Oh, yeah, because you went back and forth on this multiple times. I was like,
Right.
what are you doing? Okay.
No,
But
he
I
was very
can't-
adamant about
Here's
choosing the
though,
bear.
Yes.
It's what happened, and this is true. I mean, everything that I said was true, but especially this is true. You chose Nightgoer initially, and then you chose something different based on the fact that you thought someone else was going to make a different choice. I think it was Tari.
Yeah, that I
And
was
then
gonna go
Tari-
with the Raven thing, and then I was like, no, wait, like this other thing makes way more sense, like story-wise. So I went
Exactly.
with that.
So now we don't have the Raven Messenger, which is
Yes.
terrible because that would have been wonderful, even though I salute your character building choices, which are excellent, but Ravens
Thank
are
you.
cool. So I think that by default, then Nightgoer should be the thing that you go with.
So I couldn't remember what the other
That he
option
night
was.
goes with.
And I was looking through
Healer,
the book.
some healer mastery. I thought.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was looking through the book trying to figure out what it was. And I was watching the game we played last time. I was watching the video on YouTube.
Right.
And everybody in this call was talking. So I've got like all these different voices conflicting while I'm I'm just trying to find the spot where I decided on what I wanted. And I'm like, wait, who said that? Was it this amount or that amount? I don't know which one is talking right now. And so
I love that I'm wearing a Night Vale t-shirt while you're saying that, so it's obviously all Amals are just
right, exactly.
whisper. Maybe I am the one whispering in your ear when you no, it's fine. We won't
Are hearing ghosts? Yeah,
hearing ghosts.
maybe so. Maybe so. Maybe not. Maybe so. I don't know. Anyway, I am playing oh, man.
Wah, wah, wah.
Thane.
Ghost bear.
Thane Nightgoer Ghost
The
Bear.
Nightgoer Ghost Bear. Hearthmender dwarf friend. Some of that is true and some of that is not. Unlike Amal, where everything she says is true.
My new fantasy metal album is Nightgoer Ghost Bear. I just want to be clear about that.
Mhm.
Throw a
Ghost
bunch of-
Bear is, however, one of my
I haven't
favorite.
heard of that one, but I'll take your word for it.
one of my
But if I
favorite-
told you, if you didn't have this conversation and I said, yeah, there's a new album by Nightgoer Ghost Bear, you wouldn't be like, oh, I don't know if that band exists. You'd be like, oh, like Nightgoer Ghost Bear could totally be a fantasy metal band.
No, I'm like more doubting because you don't know nothing about metals.
These are mostly true facts.
Ooh.
I don't know what you know, because like
More than you.
your knowledge is extensive. I know a little bit about metal
You
bands.
you have been enriching us
Right.
with your knowledge of metal. You gave
Right.
us the map, the map of the metal, the map of all the metal topologies and taxonomies and stuff.
Exactly.
So
And I'm not even that knowledgeable, just like more than average. So, like,
Master healer.
I know like a bunch of very obscure
healer.
stuff about like German power metal bands. That's like basically my claim to fame.
That's
Which is
good
like
though. I mean,
so
listen.
niche.
But in that small group, but so okay, so master healer. But are you staying with that now, or are you?
He is a master healer.
He is a master healer.
I still haven't figured. He already had master healer. That was like level 3.
Right.
You
So I
know,
was like, but you.
don't know.
But I thought there was. I'm pretty sure it was some healing thing that you took that was even like some extra expertise. But again, if you want to switch and become, a night goer, ghost bear metal band,
Yes,
I'm
he
that's
does.
fine with me. Like I'm okay with that.
I'm
Keeping his
honestly-
furry
If
heart,
you
he
decide,
knows.
not if your party decides.
Yeah.
If you decide.
Like I personally,
Let's put it to a vote.
because obviously I know
What
that.
does Tren want?
Yeah.
Let's exactly. I vote on what Fred desires.
Someone put up a straw poll for what Trent wants.
Well, it is good to have Trent with us as always, playing as
A
these
boyfriend
things.
is what Trent wants. But anyway,
Oh,
Oh.
maybe that'd be easier, Ghost Bear.
I can travel 3 days in search of things when I'm in Ghost Bear. Never mind. Just
Well, I mean that also adds like bears, like literal bears and ghosts to your dating pool. So that's a thing.
right, but I want to date a fox. So
What if it's a ghost fox? Is that all right?
I'm not going to answer that on stream.
Ben, did you see the fox that I? This is not on topic.
Uh-huh.
But you saw it, yeah.
Yep.
really
I
hot
scrolled down.
fox.
It's like,
Do I
yep,
have
there
to
he is.
design a fox boyfriend now for Trent?
No, I've got tabs open on. Anyway, so
Oh, share screen.
no, as Amal already noted, but while Arv was doing his intro, it's disabled in this call, so I can't. But darling, we'll talk later. It's wonderful, I swear. Okay.
It's always a pleasure to have Trent with us. It is also a pleasure always to have Brad with us,
Who
who
was
had
sitting
no
there looking like, why?
yeah,
am
who
I
had
in
no
this
idea
group?
what he was getting into at the sort of level of this thing. But he's hooked now. It's too late. Like Brad already is interested in the campaign, so like now he's locked in, and that's how that
The
goes.
hoops of the adventure are in me.
Yeah, exactly. How's life in the universe with you, Brad? And who are you doing? And I apologize as you introduce yourself because this is the DMV calling, I think. Right back.
Sure. Yeah, so I am Bradley Pivolier, epic fantasy writer, and I am playing Bolabras Tuk, a rather excitable hobbit treasure hunter who has joined the group and become a bit harder, readier for adventure, and in fact has a burned hand and magical pan ready to help the group at this point. So I'm ready. My loins are girded, Greg, for the next adventure.
Good. I'm excited about that. I was just
What?
And I just let everybody know about my new fancy pan.
Mhm.
Not fancy pants.
fancy pan. No.
Right, if you have fancy pants, you don't really need to gird your loins.
Well, everybody likes to
They
joke
are already
about.
girded.
Everyone likes to joke in
I
Zoom
assume that
culture.
doesn't mean what I think it means, does it?
No, it basically means just cinching your toga up so that it's kind of cupped around your leg so it doesn't get in the way while you run. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone likes to joke about in the Zoom culture, like, oh, this is a no pants stream, but no one ever says no pans. Like that is taboo and wrong. Like no one would allow that to happen. But no, it is
You just don't participate in the cooking Zoom meetings, Greg.
where there's
They
no
say quite a
pan.
bit in there.
Listen, if you have cooking meetings where they have no pans, I don't know what to tell you. I feel like that's not, that would
It's
be
rare.
Yeah.
It's rare that you have no pans in those meetings.
but
But it's
again,
needed occasionally.
I am wearing pajama pants. Does that count?
yeah.
I'm
Listen,
wearing shorts, so
completely, it completely does. But I am very happy to have Brad with us. For the record, in case anybody cares, that was in fact not the New York DMV. That was that was a very nice woman who was telling me about the importance of going out to vote for city council, and I'm like, I don't live there anymore. And they were like, oh, I was like, so good luck to whoever it is you're telling me to vote for, as long as they're not Republican. But anyway, but it's a pleasure to have Brad with us, and it is also a pleasure to have Terry with us, who is hard at work drawing a Fox boyfriend for Tren, no doubt. I'm sure that's what's happening right now. You know, you're friends with someone for a long time. You do game book illustration streams. You just get a sense, you know. But I like the fact that Tren was like, "No, don't do that," and she's like, "I'm just quickly going to do that." Anyway,
Okay,
Try
I'll
and
just,
stop me.
I just sent her what I want his build to look like, so it's fine.
oh,
Okay,
great,
okay, that's
outstanding.
Perfect.
But Terry, how are you doing? When not drawing,
need to restart.
furry boyfriends for people, what else have you been up to as of late, and who are you playing today?
Oh, me. Yeah, sorry. I was like looking at the
No, the other Terry. Yes, you.
I was so distracted. So I am playing, pay attention, Thane, Homefinder, daughter of Ida, Council of Dine II. She is a dwarf and a wanderer, and to remember things because currently I'm playing 3 campaigns per week, so it's like
Stonemason.
confusing. Stonemason and clan chief, and
Mother of her devoted sidekick.
yes, a pony. His name is
Lillimon.
Lillimon.
Yes.
The
Wow.
goodest boy.
I didn't think that image would distract you that much. Wow. Okay.
I am thoroughly distracted.
I was gonna say, is everyone sure they want to play today? I mean, like, because honestly, we could just like look at furry illustrations all day. Like, I don't
He's
know.
not.
No,
Well, I mean, he's
he's-
furry, but he's not a fur.
Okay, great. All right.
Stop bringing it up.
I'm not. I'm just sitting here, and all of a sudden, I'm like, "Hello," and then there's silence, and then, "Oh, what? Sorry. Let me just click off this thing." Anyway,
Talking
this is
about
what happens.
tornado chasing when you started in.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'm telling you, this is what happens when you get a group of people, like a group of friends, very good players together, and they're just like, now we just hang out and have fun, and what am I supposed to say to that? So I will.
yeah.
Yes, go ahead, Terry.
And
You're
talk
saying?
about things that like the university work and would not approve of. So-
Oh, well, that, I mean, listen, again, the value of tenure. The value of tenure is it's all, I don't care what they think. And speaking of which, if you haven't already done so, I think it was last week that I had a little bit of a mini Twitter thread on the recent odious article in the Chronicle of Higher Education, which is yet another one of these, tenure seems like an unfortunate system that doesn't seem to work for anybody. And then you see that the reason is because it's not applied properly and it's not applied to everybody. I'm like, well, if you started applying it to more people and you stopped screwing over adjuncts like it's going out of style, maybe it would be a good system. The answer is not to take away rights, it's to add rights to other people. Thank you, Chronicle. Have a nice day. Anyway, moving right along, I'm getting real tired of tenure being the whipping boy for things that people don't like. I will move right on down, however, to someone who has not yet experienced that, the tenure quality thing yet, but may or may not be joining the ranks of the professoriate at some point in the future, from her already esteemed position as incredibly award-winning author, etc. And that, of course, is Amal Elmatara. It is good to see you as always, Amal. And I know you don't have any news that you can share about that yet, but let me just say I have been thinking about that and you, and I hope that everything is going well on that front. And how is life otherwise? And who are you playing?
Life is good. It is good. It is spring at last.
It
We
is.
had a vernal equinox over the weekend, which was delightful. And which means that we can now sit out on the balcony, which we've been doing a lot. Like it's amazing after being we have 2 balconies, neither of which we have really been able to use up until now. First, because they were being refurbished when we moved in. Then it was winter. Now it is spring, and we can actually go out onto them, and it's unbelievably good to do so. So we keep on every couple of hours just going, maybe we'll just go out on the balcony.
Yep.
And it feels like an outing. It feels like actually, we sit in the sunshine because they face east and south, and feel like we've actually traveled into a different season, and it's amazing. So that has been really nice. And yeah, so yeah, it's been real good. Other than that, I am playing a character called the River, who is a woodman of Roscobel, and is a warden, aka fighty bard, who battles with twin axes, and also her faithful hound Stone, who is a very good boy.
Don't battle Stone. What's wrong with
She's
you?
not battle Stone. She battles with Stone by her side. He is the best good boy. He is ever so nice. Oh no, I'm suddenly actually one lovely thing that happened recently is that the Nebula Awards were the Nebula Award finalists were announced last week. And this is the third year that the Nebulas have a game category. And in addition to Blaseball and Sense and Semiosis being on there, also Hades was, which is one of my absolute favorite games from last year.
Nice.
And Tari, I just suddenly had a vision of like Stone meeting Cerberus and just kind of like sniffing each other, and I think that would be really nice. But anyway, so yeah, that's basically
Hint, hint.
I just think it would be cute, like something that an artist could do. If an artist felt like drawing something that somebody else suggested for.
I think I forget who it was that came up with this idea, but that there should be a way to assess games that involves whether pets can be petted within these given games, and how that's literally created a movement in the industry to have pettable pets, like, interactable pets. Like, they don't just sit there in the background, which I think is a very nice healing thing. I'm actually, now that we have a house with an actual honest to God backyard and not a postage stamp, we are now making plans to be able to get a dog. We have to get one that is vaguely not as allergenic, because my wife does have allergies. So we're looking maybe into like an Irish setter. We're going to get an Irish settler and just be like,
No, I'm so happy to be moving into your
oh,
house.
Shaughnessy is the best boy. No, the Irish setter poodle.
Like a labradoodle or something.
But there's the Irish setter poodle combo is apparently really good for a variety of things. We may have to go through a breeder, because it's like I've only ever owned shelter dogs, but it's very hard to get, that kind of thing. And this is an allergy reason. Like, I'm not going to have my wife be miserable for the next decade just so we can have a dog. So, So anyway, we're looking into that. And then I can join you all again. I've missed my dog Lilo, passed away 5-6 years ago now, terribly. So I am looking forward to joining the dog ownership crew again. And even if it's not in a game, in real life, I can have the best dog. So we'll see. Anyway, but I hope everyone is looking forward to this session today. Let us get into it, folks. In our last session, let me just fire up some peaceful music. How about Middle-earth Dawn? How about that? In our last session, got sound, hopefully? Yeah, there we go. In our last session, we had our fellowship phase. And so there was not too much to report story-wise in terms of things that happened, except there were a couple of bits of information that came forward. For Tawny Bear, Tawny was able to not only build his knowledge and expertise, and spent much of his time, which is extended into this day, trying to figure out if he wanted to be a healer or... I can't read that.
Expertise. That's why I couldn't find it. It was under open virtues,
okay.
Not under Beorning.
Has Tawny yet decided if that's what Tawny
Yes, that's what it was going to be, because it
No, I'm saying, but is that what it's going to be now?
Yeah, that's what it was last time, and it's still what it's going to be.
It's going to remain expertise. All right, so has resisted the peer pressure to become a ghost bear. All right.
That's okay. Mal's now got something else she can torture me with.
Collective moan from the rest of the party.
So,
Wait, something else?
Yeah,
Next what?
I'll tell you later.
Tawny... Oh my God! This whole thing is the subtext episode. Anyway, Tawny has gained gained more expertise in healing, which is something that Tawny will probably need insofar as Queen Una, who was poisoned during the events of the Silver Needle, the first part of the Erebor adventures. Queen Una, although she has recovered from immediate danger, is still in a sort of low-level kind of essentially comatose state. And Tani is still looking to find out why, although his suspicion is that it is related to some kind of shadow-tainted illness, not unlike what Inga's mother went through during Wilderland adventures with the rock fever. And so Tani is trying to gather more information about that as time went on. It was a very Dale-centric episode in many ways, because Bolo, while this was happening, was getting Flank Searer made into Flank Obliterator. No, it was having it made into an enhanced version of itself. Flank Searer has been seasoned even better and has been improved by a dwarven smith to make it even more effective, which is super cool.
It also became
I have the burns to prove it.
And it has the burns to prove it, exactly, yeah. Go ahead, sorry, Amel.
I was like, it became Palm Searer.
It became Palm Searer, right, which led to our reminder from Amal that had happened IRL to Amal, and that was like, ow. But yes, so Bolo was able to learn that, and at the same time was also became already as a sort of minor celebrity as one of the now heroes of Dale, was not known as that initially, but is now sort of becoming part of that group, and wants to put something more into making the battered mug into something which can be a source of light and healing and celebration, and most of all, well-cooked food. Again, this is not a no pan less stream in the battered mug, and so that's what was going on there. Meanwhile, Inga, yes, Terry, good timing.
I just made a stupid realization. The battered mug, like getting punched in the face. Is that
that
on
was not
purpose?
part of it, but I am pleased to include that as part of the thing that was happening. Yes,
because like I just now made that connection. And
it could also
incredibly
be someone
stupid.
beer battering a mug for consumption.
And then
I don't
deep
know.
frying it, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, that, we deep fry everything else. So anyway, in the meantime, while this was going on, Inga was gathering also not only more information, but was also furthering her plans to help the people of Dale by talking about the possibility of bringing in, speaking to King Bard about bringing in other smiths from Erebor and the Lonely Mountain, and maybe even getting some
Smiths?
assistance. Like some
Construction
dwarven
workers.
well, construction workers, but smiths, construction workers, you know what I mean, to go in and actually help improve the construction of broken stone and to try to make things better for the people of Dale. And while all that was going on, the river actually took a little bit of a side trip, if you will, to Haven to spend time with her significant other, Ash, and also had a chance to have a pleasant conversation with Vig, the person that had been rescued by her when she could have turned him in. She and Inga could have turned him in, and instead they rescued Vig, previously working for Longo, and Vig basically asked if it would be okay to bring others that he knew to Haven and maybe even build some other settlements, around there and sort of connect them into the Haven network, if you will, the Haven mesh network. And so there was a very, eventful progress stream, I guess is the way to put it. And that is good because it's going to lead us into the second part of Erebor Adventures beginning today, which is of hammers and anvils. And I want to bring you in here to the summer or autumn, we're going to say I think late summer here, of the year 2958. This is the year following all of the situation that we dealt with the Silver Needle. The party has been engaged, the company has been involved in various activities, as we've just said, and so this actually brings us back to the companions who are traveling to Dale along the Merchant's Way, where it parallels the river Running before it flows into the long lake to the south. Now, all of you, I would say, are here for different reasons, but I want to ask what has, I'm going to give it to the players for a moment to ask them, what has specifically brought you together, the company together on this day, traveling back into Dale? It could be stuff relating to your individual goals, like Inga, you want to sort of, check up on see how the construction work is going, or River, it could be trying to figure out something more about other people that may need assistance at Haven, or whatever the case may be. But I want to ask each player very quickly what brought you all back together on this road. And that's for any of you who want to do
Question
that.
first.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So when are we exactly right now? Like
Late
in relation
summer.
to like other major events, I mean, like how many years?
It's a year after the incident, so it's a year after the incidents of the Silver Needle. So it's 2958, which puts this 7 years after the battle.
Wait, what did you say? 2558?
2958.
29.
Yeah. 2958. So yes. So why has the party been brought together, heading up to Dale?
Baklava.
Yes.
Yum.
Why?
Because baklava's delicious.
Well, I mean, it is
that's why.
delicious, but you could eat it on your own. I'm just curious what brought you
Good,
together.
but baklava when shared with friends is sticky.
Aw.
Let's see.
I wonder if Tawny is has like regular checkups on the queen.
Oh yeah.
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 I'm imagining that River will probably want to. I definitely think that there's like some community building stuff that is bringing her to town. I actually have more the sense that like she's been doing regular runs back and forth.
Sure.
But there's like a critical mass of the party doing stuff in this area, and it's like, oh well, let's just all go together in that case.
Okay. And it should be noted, by the way, that the newly formed toy market of Dale, which was the wonder of the North before the coming of Smaug and now is being rebuilt, this is supposedly coming close to the occasion where the new toy market is going to be opening again. And so there is a lot of excitement on the roads about, mercantile business. I'll just throw that out there in case anyone is interested in grabbing toys for people, like, say, their best, the goodest boys of animals. There's pet toys too. So just want to throw that out there. Bolo, what brings you back to Dale? I mean, and you've been in and out, I'm sure. It isn't that you've been gone this whole time, but.
Well, I think I've been trying to help the battered mug, and so I've kind of been doing that a little bit. But I think what's taking me away from that is like time passes for a while, and it passes quickly. Sometimes you don't realize how much time is passing as you're working on something else. But I feel like it's time to take up my Seeker of the Lost background again. So I'd gotten some information from the fellow who helped
yes, about the chain shirt,
here.
About the thing you were looking for, yes.
Yeah, so it was like something I had in
Kenix,
the
the
back of
Dwarven Smith, who improved flank seer. Yeah.
So he gave me a clue of someone specific to talk to about it, another dwarf, I think, and I don't remember where he is supposed to be. But I think it's time to do that, and maybe I'm reaching out to the party to see if they can help me.
That sounds good. One of the names that you received from this person was a smith known as Niping, who actually is a well-known smith from the Iron Hills. That was one of the references that you were bits of information that you were given. And so as a person who might know more about that sort of thing. And I think other than Tawny and Baklava, is there something besides Baklava which may have brought Tawny together with the rest of the party, or was it just honey cakes and Baklava? I mean, like that's... Is that you tell that's the look that like, why do I need another reason besides Baklava? Is that...
No, I mean, I thought we already covered it with,
just because of the Queen Una checks. Yeah. Okay.
Well, that and he would almost certainly be continuing to check up on the people at Haven as well.
Right.
Make sure that there's no, diseases cropping up that need somebody with more experience to look at. So there's every possibility that at some point he and I almost said him out, that he and the river, cross paths going the other way, and he's like, yeah, I'm sure they're fine. And he turned around and go back with her towards the thing. It's like, nobody cares about those people in Haven anymore.
And that actually might even be that you went, like down with actually the river to kind of check things out, and then, came back up. So that's quite possible. So the four of you then are on your way back up. It has been, of course, much calmer in this area since the work that was done in Wilderland. And you are making your way just, fine. You are still a few miles south of town. It's late in the day, I should say. And when I say late summer, I'm talking like, maybe even early September, like that late summer, late August, early September. And so it's still warm, but the fields are very much The grasses are somewhat browned from several long months of wonderful long nights and days, and it's been very lovely and peaceful. And in particular, there are stories that have abounded of these rare and prestigious wares. This might be something else, Bolo, for you, that have been brought from the east by many merchants who arrived last year, also involving possibly leads on armor as well. So there's all this stuff that's going on. So as you arrive in sight of the river running, just before it sort of moves on the way up into Dale, behind a sheltering hill, all of you spy a craft that is silently moving with the favor of the current, partially hidden by a mist which is rising from the river's surface. You take notice of it mostly because it's relatively unusual to see a southbound boat this late in the day, because it probably isn't going to make it to Lake Town from Dale before sundown. And it is a large skiff with 8 rear-facing oarsmen. So it's a little unusual in that number of people, and also just odd a little bit that it's coming in that way. And so it is passing by you. You can either just ignore it. I mean, they're not paying any attention to you. Or you can take note of it. It's up to you. But it is something that's strange because you wouldn't normally see this in this way. Yes, Inga?
I would like to know, are these humans or elves or what's going on here?
They do look to be human, not elves.
Do they wear any? Do they have any flags or wear specific colors that would help identify where they belong to or come from?
Let me have you make a lore check for me, please.
Not getting those. Yeah, no, 10.
So actually, that's enough. Believe it or not. It's
wow.
Because it's not a particularly difficult check. Just give me a second. I need to get my dice roller thing working.
I just need to make sure that I did
there we
finish
go.
my level up last time.
Lovely. Yeah, it looks similar to vessels. They're not really wearing any identifying material, but the boat itself, Inga, looks similar to vessels which are often built in Lake Town, with one exception, which is that there is a large pair of eyes painted on the lower side of its prow. And that you have not seen before.
Sort of Egyptian.
Right.
Hey, Amal.
Yeah.
No, Amal. Hey, River.
I was like, what?
Sorry. Wait a second.
Suddenly, like, what?
Who?
Hey, River. Do these eyes mean anything to you? Also,
Do
it would be
they?
Greek, by the way, not Egyptian. Like Triremen?
Oh, I think.
Wait. How are they pronounced in
The
English?
Egyptian also.
Yeah. But they overlapped a great deal. But can I make a lore check also?
Well, maybe. Well, what are you trying to figure out from the the
Well,
people? Are you trying to figure out, or
No, I mean, if Inga has drawn my attention to the eyes, then have I seen eyes on a boat before in this way? Is it familiar? Have I heard songs? That sort of thing.
I am not going to let you do a lore check, but I am going to give you a perception check, because as you're peering at this, something else strikes you. The answer is no. You don't without even having a check, you can tell you haven't seen something like that. But something else is weird about this boat.
Something else might strike you.
Exactly. Might surprise
Oh, it does.
you. You are struck.
And she is hit by a shoot in the head.
Exactly. No, you notice that the boat is maneuvered using an unusually large steerboard, which is like a rudder, which is typically what you would use to, this would typically belong to a small longboat. So in other words, this doesn't even necessarily look like something that would be on a smaller river. It's not a trade ship, if you follow what I mean. It's not normally what you would see for something like that. So even though you don't recognize the eyes thing, you certainly are also like, why is it being piloted like this?
Is it
that's
that
weird.
it's usually for larger bodies of water?
Right.
Right.
It can go on rivers, obviously, but it's not what it usually does.
Right. Yeah. It's odd that they. Do you see the rudder there? This kind of ship is not usually piloted on small rivers. It's usually for longer journeys and bigger bodies of water. It's very strange. And it's leaving,
think
right?
they
It's
came
like
all the
Going
way from
fairly
the
fast,
sea?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
but it's leaving. It's going away from Dale. It's
Correct.
Like, and it's on the river running. You say.
Correct.
I just want to look at the map.
What's the name
Oh.
of the town again?
Away from Dale towards Lake Town.
Tail towards Lake Town, yep.
Um,
Because you're only a couple of miles south of Dale at this point, so.
yeah.
The town you're talking about, Terry, is Selduin?
No.
Okay.
Way
Last time you were
further
asking
south.
that question, it was.
No. Way further south. Also wrong river, I think. Right?
I'm just saying the last time you asked what was the name of that town again, it was Selduin.
Oh.
Was the one you were
Right.
asking about.
Yeah. But yeah.
Oh, right. We are at the south. I was like thinking of the Underwind. No. Yeah. No, you're right. No, I was like thinking completely of the wrong place. No.
Yeah. So a river says that. And is there can she see anything about the oarsmen or anyone like actually on the ship? Do like see what they look like or what they're wearing?
So they are wearing cloaks, although they're not hooded. They seem to be relatively like average height, mostly dark-haired humans, and they seem. I mean, they do not wave at you or try to take any notice of you at all. They seem to be busy at their work. So, although they're not trying to conceal themselves, they are definitely, and they're making good time. In fact, even as you're watching them, they're almost like moving to the point where they'll be out of sight. They definitely are not sticking around. And again, it's awfully late in the day to be like, get the hell down to Lake Town, type of thing. So.
And there's nothing martial looking about the ship.
No, not that you can see. Now they may have weapons, concealed behind their cloaks or whatever, but no, there's nothing obviously military about the boat.
And we know it doesn't look like a trade boat, but can we see stuff on it besides people?
That's a good question. It looks like it's mostly just people. It is true that cargo in these boats sometimes is laid flat and below the surface of below the level of the sides of the boat, so as to keep water from shipping in on it or whatever. So, but no, there's definitely no extra things that are standing above where you can see it. It's just the people that you can see.
Interesting.
And as you watch, the craft is like, pretty much now soon almost out of sight.
So River shares like her observations about it with everyone else, and says it's odd. It's odd that they'd be on the water this time of day. I wonder if they had any pressing business in Dale, and why they wouldn't stay the night.
Said this was like a type of ship that like would sail on the sea, not on rivers.
Yes, I wouldn't say like deep sea voyages, but like coastal stuff, as opposed to
But
it
this
can fit on a
isn't
river, but
connected to the coast.
right. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why would a ship like that be sailing here? That's what I don't get.
It's a good question. Huh.
It
I
must be
wonder
in
when they-
some kind of hurry if the current isn't fast enough for them that they have to row as well.
I'm like looking for the end of the river on the map, and it just kind of vanishes into a hex.
Oh, I have a map for you that like shows where it goes. Wait a
Okay.
second. Yeah.
I was like, where is the sea
It goes
relative
into
to where we are?
the Selduin goes into the Sea of Rue, which appears to be God, what do you call that? We call that Binnenmeer in German. Like an inner sea that's like not connected to any oceans.
Oh, like a
Inland sea.
like
Dead
Inland
sea,
sea,
yeah.
yeah.
So you're free to continue to discuss it as you head northward. It doesn't seem to be anything else to do here. But about half a mile north or so from where you saw the passing boat, as you're walking along, and now, as I say, you're only maybe a mile and a half outside of Dale, you hear a "Caw, caw," this sort of old croaking, and you look up and see that there is a very ancient tree with an even apparently more ancient bird, a raven, which is perched on a tree, and it is croaking and flapping its wings. Ah! Ah! And it just stares
Yeah,
at you very intelligently.
Did you get a raven friend?
It's why it's so funny you were
No,
bringing that
I
up, because
did
I'm like,
not.
you're going to get a lot of ravens in this part, too.
I did not.
That's such a shame. That would have been so great.
I know, right?
I'm
But
sorry.
alas.
The most ancient of ravens.
Ah, not a friend,
Uh.
not a friend. No, just kidding.
All ravens
Or
are
dire
friends.
enemy.
What are you saying?
So yeah,
River looks up at the raven and but then also looks to Inga, like the person who is most likely to be delegated to speak to ravens. I feel like it's trying to tell us something.
it's on a low branch, by the way, so you could almost walk up and touch it if you wanted to. It's not very high up.
Yeah, I guess I walk up. Like,
When you
Hello.
do, it takes flight, and it lands a few yards away from the road. So it flaps away, but then lands again and looks back. Ah!
I think it wants us to follow. So yeah, I go after it.
And it flies again. This time it goes off the road to the left and stops, and then looks back at you.
Yeah, I want to look what's down there.
You don't see anything yet. It's just,
Oh, okay.
it's sort of, but it definitely moved in a different way, and it does seem to keep stopping and looking back at you.
And does it
Yeah, I
leading
go
us
after it
away
again.
from the road, right?
Yes, it's leading away from the road. That's correct.
I keep following.
River is following.
I was gonna say, are all of you following?
Yeah.
Tani and Bolo.
It's the raven version of a puka. I'm telling you. It's
I thought it was gonna be like some Lassie joke. What's that, little Timmy?
no.
Little Timmy's lost in the well.
I mean, if Lassie's the like to throw you in the well, then yeah.
So it flaps a few more times, and then it lands on a rocky outcrop, probably about maybe 50 yards from the road or so, which looks down. And I have a picture. If you go up to look at it, but it stops at the right, and it sort of is looking down into the little valley below, which you can't obviously see yet because you're not there.
Yeah, I walk up to
Head that way.
the
Okay.
thing, the valley.
So I shall show you what it
Like,
is
what is
you
like
see.
a crack in the ground or something?
It's
Yeah,
the Valley of the Jolly Green Giant.
Exactly. It's like a little dip in the ground. From not super little, like it's a cleft in the ground. Remember the incredibly traumatic thing that happened
Don't
with
say
Lillimon
gloomy folk, don't
back in the day? You know what I'm saying? So that thing where Lillimon fell, something like that. All right,
He never
and
fell. He cracked his hoof on a rock.
yeah, but I'm saying, but it was in
Missteps,
one
he
of those
didn't fall.
clefts that it was happening,
Oh,
though, is what I'm saying.
yes.
And okay, I think I have it now. So supposed to. Oh, come on. There we go. Lovely. All right. I would like to copy that and paste that. Sorry, I missed this one when I was prepping. I forgot that this was here. Save as this thing. And okay, and I am now going to pop this up on stream. So when you come up and look down, what you will see on stream is this.
Pursue, delay. Ah, there we go.
There we go. What you see is this, which is there is a narrow ravine that is filled with dense vegetation. And you think you can maybe just make out, if you want to give me a perception check, you can try to look, because you can just make out something, but not very clearly.
My perception check has revealed a body, according to what I can see in the stream.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
Inge forgot her glasses and she doesn't know.
Like, well, it looks like vegetable stuff down there. That's
Like oversized broccoli.
oversized broccoli. It's just a bush. Oh, I couldn't see that. Bolo's like, are you sure it's
I'm not much
broccoli?
better.
Because it's like asparagus, maybe.
you guys looking at that?
That's funny.
That thing?
Yes, the two of, unfortunately, Tani and the river.
We're the taller ones. Like,
Exactly. You can see what is clearly the body of a dwarf at the bottom of the ravine. It is half buried in thick and thorny bushes. Someone has fallen over the edge.
Ooh.
And the raven, "Caw!" looking down there.
So River says, "Oh no," and sort of like bounds forward as carefully
is
as
it?
she can.
So it is a, I was going to say, what, the broccoli? So I assume you point out the body. So it's a steep slope, so you're going to need to make a check to go down it.
Sure.
But which would be an athletics check if you can do it, otherwise strength.
Yeah.
Kind of lean down next to.
Yeah, Inga would
Inga's-
also climb
Inga's
down, but
head
she
and
would get
point.
out her rope first.
Okay.
Oh,
The rope will help.
Just grabs her rope in her hand and then just jumps. It's like, oh, I
Yes,
should have
exactly.
connected it to something.
No,
I mean, how far down is
It's
this?
probably about, it's not super far. It's probably like 15, 20 feet down. But yeah,
but
whatever.
This ground looks dangerous. Like Inga would like no, like
Yo,
not
yes.
go
Yes.
down there without like any security.
Yes.
So probably
Okay.
gotta stop River from just jumping down there.
Well, there's someone down there.
Yes, I see. But that doesn't mean we need to break our bones going down there. Yeah, like probably find something I can tie the rope to, right?
Okay, so River like ties a rope around her waist and hands it. She basically literally just hands it to Tawny and then is like, "Great, okay."
And then like goes away. Make a
River?
strength check for me, please. Or athletics. Yeah,
I'll do athletics.
River, are you sure about this? Like I'm kind of
See you
like
at the
the person
bottom.
who climbs rocks and stuff for work.
If she's gonna pull that, Tawny's not gonna let any slack out on the rope.
All right, tie it to something. But I think I mean,
We have potentially one injured person down there. Please don't add to it.
okay, all right. I'll be careful. Probably.
Rabbits
I'll
are
try.
moving.
I'll try very hard to be careful. I just don't
Are
have
you
any
sure
control
that
over these dice.
River, are you sure that you want to go down there? That's what
Yes.
what we're saying here. Okay, all right.
I don't know, Inga. What's your athletics rating?
Probably more than yours.
Hmm.
+5.
+6.
Oh, okay.
Ha-ha.
This is definitely
Called
how
out.
people talk to each other. You're like, I mean, yeah.
I like that you're having this discussion as the river is going down the rope, just like
I-
I've been working out a lot. And, like,
I mean, River is like, agile and clambery and stuff in general. She's like, Inga is 100%, probably actually literally 100% stronger than River is, but she's nimble.
But then that
Agile
would be
and nimble.
acrobatics, not.
Please don't make a liar of me, dice.
yeah, I was gonna say.
We've already established that Amal only tells the truth.
Oh wow,
Hey!
see? So just, dances down the side. No. And as you climb down, you start to hear from the body someone moaning in pain, obviously.
Okay, he's fine. Come on back up.
He's alive. She calls back up. Wait, I don't know. Is it possible to determine gender of dwarf?
I was just about to.
Ah,
Yeah, I was gonna
Beard
say,
is
They're alive.
they're alive. When you arrive, so when you get down there, you can see that indeed the dwarf is alive and is breathing and sort of half rolled over. And as you roll him back up and sort of expose him, revealing to the incredible shock of Inga that it is in fact, and Bolo, that this is not broccoli or asparagus, but actually actual bushes that he's cleared them from. But most of you, I would assume, would recognize them, and certainly Inga would. This dwarf is none other than Balin, son of Fundin, the companion of Thorin Oakenshield. And exactly. Who's this guy? You can see there's a cut to the side of his head, and he's he's conscious, just like very woozy. And it
That's,
doesn't look to you,
that is-
River, like the cut is like terribly deep, but definitely took a
that
header
is
down.
Lord Balin.
Oh my! River is a little like struck by the sight of this dwarf and just sort of tries to help him up very carefully and say, what do you call like an elder dwarf? I feel like she would say so here, like
An old geezer.
You shut up. He doesn't
like
say that.
like something that in the equivalent of like ammo in Arabic or something, like
Probably something that translates to graybeard or something.
uncle or
Yes.
Whitebeard.
grandfather.
Yes, grandfather or graybeard. And knowing him, Lord Balin would not be out of place. They were all made lords after that, so you could also
Yeah.
call him that, if you wanted. That would be safe.
River says that, Lord Balin, let me help you up. And is he still bleeding, or is there?
Yeah, still bleeding. It's not profuse, but there's definitely it's seeping from this cut. So it has not happened long ago. You would guess that he hasn't been down here very long.
Okay. I'm just wondering if it's probably getting him up to Tawny is more important than staunching his wound with a song at this point.
Put a tourniquet around his neck. He'll be fine.
And despite his age, he actually fairly strong is able to grab the rope fairly strongly. And all right, thank you. I'm not as weak as all that. It's all right.
She just helps him up the rope and keeps up behind him basically, so that
yeah. And if you carefully sort of bring him up, he's able to get up without too much difficulty up the side using the rope, and a few feet away, safe distance anyway from the ravine, he sits down and he's like, thank goodness for being one with us, a hard head. I thank you. And he looks at all of you. Well, I recognize you. You are all the heroes of Dale.
Oh, okay.
And looks around. You're Tawny. He kind of squints his eyes a little bit. And he says, and you, he looks at you, River, and you're the woodsman of Rosgabel, if I remember correctly, the river. And you must be Thane Inga, if I'm not mistaken, he says, pointing at you.
Your service.
And he says, and you, and he looks at you, Bolo, he's like, you're a hobbit. And he doesn't seem to know you particularly well, Bolo.
I said, Bolobras Took, at your service.
Took, you say? Yes. Well, yes, I don't suppose you know how long I've been down there, do you?
Oh, your cut doesn't seem that old, but your friend Raven led us here.
So you should probably sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was sitting down, but he looks.
He's short. It's difficult.
Looks over, and the raven is just sort of calmly. It stopped cawing, and he says, "They've always been our friends. We were headed for Lake Down," and he sort of then you see his sort of expression falls, and he says, "Me, my squire, and a bodyguard, and they ambushed us on the road. There were 12 ruffians, men all of them. Store, my bodyguard, was the first to fall, pierced by a spear. My squire charged to engage them, urging me to escape. I fled, but they shot arrows at me. Many darts hit their mark, but I have a thicker skin than most dwarves." And Balin opens his tunic to reveal, Bolo, I think you take particular note of this, a shiny corselet of close-set silver rings that are underneath. And he says, "When I fell over the cliff edge, they must have thought I was dead. They were wrong. It isn't the first time. But the loss of my people, and those that tried to defend me. And he sort of shakes his head and says, I didn't see them clearly, but I could retrace my steps, I suppose."
Why don't you let Tawny...
Tawny's been working on his head this whole time.
Okay.
Yeah, Tawny, it looks like he has indeed gotten off fairly lucky. He could have easily cracked open his skull. Instead, he has basically what is a superficial cut, a few bruises. You also, having spent some time with Inga, know something of the famed resilience of dwarves, and that probably has also come to his aid. But you're struck
and
by,
nothing bleeds like the scalp. The scalp just bleeds.
Yeah.
Crazy.
No, exactly. I mean, it's like a paper cut. Ooh. It's but the thing about it is that his not only his regular resilience, but of course all of you, including you, Bolo, will know the story of Thorin and his companions, and the dwarves that accompanied him were considered to be, are legends, including, of course, Balin.
And Balin has Balin taken up residence in Moria by this point, or is that later?
No, not yet.
Okay.
He is still here.
Do you? And Tawny's kind of looking around. You know, do you have any memory of how far you traveled between the time you fell down there and your friends were felled?
Well, and he kind of shakily stands up, and he says, I think I can lead you there. This cut in my head, thank you for tending it, but this cut doesn't go all the way to the brain, fortunately. And he says, I think I can make my way here. And so he sets off. A little bit shaky at first, but then...
I help him.
Okay.
Oh, I hand him, I go up to Lilleman and get my walking stick that is tied to his...
Yeah, he
to his neck
takes
and
the
hand it to
walking...
them.
He takes the walking stick. Thank you. Thank you. And he says, this is only temporary, mind. I won't be using a walking stick for longer than is needed. But
Of
I
course.
thank you for your kindness. And so he makes his way, not a long distance, but a little bit down the way. And where he says, it's right here where the fight began, but no one's, they're all gone. And indeed, there are no bodies that are left on the ground here, although it does look like there has been some disruption in the grass. And so...
So
You remember
who
the-
or what
the time of
attacked you
day?
anyway?
what now?
Do you remember the time of day that you were attacked?
Oh, it wasn't very long ago. The sun was still on the set, I would say. He kind of squints up. Perhaps an hour at most, maybe less, a half hour.
Are
And-
you sure about that? I mean, you could have been just passed out for a day.
And he looks at you and he says, with all respect, Thane Inga, if I say I was out for that long, I think I know what I'm about.
Right. So,
Can,
who or what
can-
attacked you anyway?
While this is happening,
Yeah.
River is leading Stone to sniff at the area where the body was and see if he can point in a direction or something.
I'd like you to make a survival check for me while you're doing that, River. And Inga, back to your question. He says, well, they didn't announce themselves and they had no marks that I recognized. They were all humans, all wearing cloaks. Not hooded, though. Brazen to be doing this close to Dale, it seems to me.
Can you describe them any closer? And I
Oh,
want to
with
specifically
dark
check
hair.
if the description matches the dude who was
Yeah.
on the ship earlier.
Yeah, so he says they were dark-haired, but otherwise nondescript. I paid little
Oh.
attention because by the time they were on us, it was mostly confusion.
Do we remember any notable things about the people
River
on the
does.
boat?
Yeah, I
They
mean,
do have
that
dark
is
hair.
the description of the people on the boat. River
Yeah, I
does
mean,
have
it
dark hair.
seems they were nondescript and you saw them because it didn't take long before they went by, but it's not terribly distant from, it's not wildly different from the way
Dissimilar.
that they describe them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And River, you and Stone is like, and then finds, and then with his nose pushes away, and you can say that there are a series of tracks leading away from the road in the direction of the river.
Huh. River looks at this and just gets a really grim look and says to everyone, specifically to Balin, we saw a strange ship on the river just now, full of men matching this description. And from what Stone is telling me, it looks as if they went from here towards... Whoever attacked you seems to have gone from here towards the river. I think we should head over there and see if there's any evidence of a boat being moored.
That seems like wisdom. If there are those who are attacking people on the roads, King Bard must know about it. And King Dine, for that matter. And so he follows you, assuming all of you were on board with this, he follows you as you all follow these tracks. And the tracks end at a shingly shore There are deep grooves on the riverside indicating that a boat was recently dragged on dry land.
They went right past us. We had no reason to stop them, but they knew that there was something wrong with this.
He says, "What do you mean?"
It was very strange to see a ship on the water at this time of day, and it was a long ship. It was steered as if for the open sea, for much bigger than our rivers here. And it was going by very swiftly, and there were men at the oars, but they didn't look dressed for battle. There didn't seem to be any reason to stop them.
And he sort of, "There's no reason to blame yourself. It is clear to me that this was planned in advance. They must have had this boat positioned nearby, and then... But if they were going to do this..." And he kind of looks around, and he picks out from his belt, and he holds up a pouch, and he jingles it, and there are certainly many coins within it. And he says, "A strange kind of burglar that doesn't actually burgle anyone, don't you think?"
They seem to have taken away the bodies of your friends.
And
Do they have anything?
He sighs. He says, "No, I will have to pass on word of the deaths of these people. I must complain to King Bard about the safety of these roads. What has been done here is terrible. They had
You
nothing of
actually-
value, I don't think, besides themselves."
Did you actually see them die?
I saw my bodyguard pierced by a spear. He was dead before he hit the ground. After that, when I was told to run, I did not see the rest, but I cannot think it went much better. There were only a few of us after all, and many of them.
What if they took your what did you call him?
Squire?
Squire, yes. What if he took your what if they took your squire alive?
He says, "That is true. It is, I suppose, possible he could be found. But," and he sighs, "I don't know what value they would have in seeing him. He was a young dwarf, and had some measure of ambition, I think. He had asked to serve me, and I agreed. I cannot think what their value there would be with him."
What's his name?
And so he kind of sighs heavily, and he says, "Farnan, he was the son of one of my cousins, a distant one who had come from the Iron Hills. But he was very young, brave in battle, though. When he charged them, well, I shouldn't have allowed him to do it. Curse these aged bones, or I could have stayed. If I was the dwarf I was 75 years ago, this might not have happened."
Were you carrying anything in particular or bringing information somewhere that might have
No,
led them to you?
just engaged in some old dwarvish business. On my way to Esgaroth.
Was it of a sensitive nature that someone might have wanted to prevent or influence in some way?
And he kind of shrugs and says, "Not that any would know. It is information that was only for the dwarves." And he kind of looks sadly down at the tracks and down the river, and he says, "It is getting late. If you are on your way to Dale, might I ask if you could do an old dwarf a favor and accompany him? I must report what has happened here, and I would welcome a replacement escort for my sadly lost companions."
Of course.
Of course. We should go straight to King Bard with this. It is very strange to me that they committed this crime and then erased all evidence of it.
Perhaps they meant to erase me along with it. And he kind of gives you a small smile.
Why not make certain of it?
Well, there was confusion at that time. It might be that they were disrupted and had to leave before they were finished with what they were doing. Or it could be that they did not see my body where it fell. I was, after all, concealed below these bushes. Not so much that all of you perceptive heroes could not see that I was there, of course. Not for you believing that bushes look like silly things like vegetables or something like that.
Technically, they are.
Definitely not. Who would think that?
All
But
four of us
if
spotted
you-
you right away.
I was
think
in the
I would like
vanguard.
to inspect the place where the fighting took place.
Okay.
A bit further. Maybe we can see, find more clues as to what exactly and why it happened.
Okay.
And they would take the time to remove the bodies, but not take the time to make sure that you were actually dead is very odd to me.
Yeah.
They can't have been in that much of a rush. They would have either had to carry or drag your compatriots' bodies to the river.
Well, they might have seen me fall, and of course I lost consciousness for a time. They might have gone down and assumed I was dead, or they might not have seen me at all, and just assumed that I had either escaped or been lost. But I cannot know the minds of a criminal. I agree with you, it does seem strange, but so does this attack, right here near the open road to Dale.
Also, if they were interrupted by something, it could very well be that whatever or whomever interrupted them took the bodies away.
And at this you hear, caw! And then the raven spreads its wings and slowly flaps off. And Balin watches it go and says, "Swift journeys to you, my friend. Thank you." And the bird kind of circles once slowly in the air and then continues to head onward. And
Do you think they knew who you were?
and he looks at you and sort of narrows his eyes very keenly and says, "It is possible. My identity here is hardly secret." And he strokes, and you can see that his beard is like, richly plated, and like his belt, like as you have a chance to look at him, side of the whole that he's, dirty and exhausted and all that. But clearly the years have been good to him over the last few. And he says, "The time has been good to the dwarves and those who were part of Thorin Oakenshield's original company, and they might have known of me from them. But I recognized no names or very many faces, though, as I say, I did not take much time to watch for them. There were many of them and few of us, and I was asked to flee." And he takes the walking stick and suddenly, like hits it against the ground and makes this loud thump, and he says, "Again, if I had weapons more fitting to my station," and then he looks and he says, "I must take out my anger on one of their heads, not on your walking stick. My apologies."
I do have a spare axe.
"I apologies, Thane," and he lowers his head slightly as he hands back the walking stick to you.
That is not
No
my
offense
point.
taken. If you want, I have a spare axe.
And he looks back at you, Tawny. "Well, I cannot say if they knew me for certain."
If they
Did
did,
they say anything on seeing you?
"No, they attacked silently. Even when I ran, they made no sound other than normal breathing and exertion. But they seemed to be interested in swift and sure, not in announcing their presence. But despite this, they were not totally silent assassins. It seemed to me that they had worked together before. At least the attack was coordinated."
they knew who you were. they either would not have been so stupid as to presume that a simple fall down a ravine would be enough to kill one of the company of Thor and Oakenshire, or it was intentional that you escaped.
And he nods slowly. That seems wise to me, Thane Tawny Bear, but I cannot think of why they would spare me. All that I will do is bring news of this heinous deed to King Bard, and watch my back rather more carefully, I should think. Why spare my life?
The other possibility that I see is that they intended to capture you alive. And then if they were persuaded that you had in fact died, that they might have left you there. But we can discuss this more perhaps on our way. We should get to Dale before dark.
And he nods and says, Again, my thanks to you. I can walk alongside, or if you have a spare seat on saddle on a... And he looks up and he sees that, like, it's just Lillimon and Stone. He says, Oh, I see you have not taken ponies or horses with you besides this excellent creature. And he points at Lillimon. And he kind of goes over and sort of caresses, strokes Lillimon's nose. And Lillimon kind of nuzzles him. And he says, Wonderful creatures, ponies. I remember how often we used them in my longer journeys over the misty mountains. I wonder what happened to those poor creatures. And he turns back and says, In any case, I am sure you don't want this one bearing the weight of an old and weighted dwarf like me.
Oh, that is no issue at all. And I start making space because he mostly carries stuff. So I start making space and put my backpack back on that is usually a little man. Yeah.
So he
hand him the reins.
And he says, I thank you. And he says to Lilliman quietly, I will try to ride as lightly as I may. Lilliman's like, like that. And so he gets up, uses the stirrup to he mounts on very quickly onto Lillimon, actually, surprisingly agilely, as of one who has done this thousands of times before. And then says, well, let us be on our way then. And as you begin to make your way, you don't go super fast, I assume, because you don't want to race beyond stuff. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
I wanted to check out the...
Right, the area. I remember.
Yeah.
So when you get back to that spot, which isn't very far from the area you were looking at before,
what do you... With her as well.
Sure.
And Stone, yeah.
What are you looking for here? Because when the River did this before, Stone found the tracks, and that was pretty much it. But what else do you want to look for, Inga, and the River?
If any items were left behind, the Balin mentioned arrows were being shot, so if we can find any of those arrows.
Scraps of cloth from cloaks, or...
Yeah, and
inspect
how large some of these footprints are, if there was anything notably larger or smaller than dwarf or human size.
Sure.
So.
Make inspection checks for me, please.
Investigation.
What did I say? Inspection? Investigation. Inspection checks, no investigation.
A bonus on that, I think. Let me double check. We haven't done this for a long time because we haven't been in the wilderness.
That's true, but we are now.
Yeah. Same, actually. So yeah, I should be getting advantage on investigate.
Okay. And Bolo, you're doing this too, is that what I...
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to take the 18, I suspect.
No, just a bonus on
Up
perception,
the 2, yeah.
not on investigation. That is stupid. Amal, are you sure that you also get a bonus to investigation?
Yeah, because of Stone. So Stone's support... When it's investigation based on, his senses and stuff, So let's see. So when you make ability checks using one of your hound's trained skills, you gain advantage and count as proficient in the skill, even if you are not. And if you are proficient, you get to double your proficiency bonus. So in this case, it is just... Oh no, she is proficient in that.
So that would
No,
be a
no.
20.
in investigation. So, I guess that's like an extra +3.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
that'll
for
be a
fuck's
20.
sake.
That'll be a 20. Yeah.
So you're
Yeah, Arva, I wanted to ask something else actually while we are looking at rule stuff. Might as well
Okay.
get that out of the way. Did we like? I wanted to like ask again. Like, what level did we go to again?
we haven't leveled.
7.
We're at 7.
yeah, did not level up after the last fellowship phase. There may be a level in your
Right,
future
we
after
only
this one.
did we only did the thing, the
That's right.
thingamajig.
Fellowship
the-
phase stuff.
Yeah, that. Okay. Never
One
mind.
sec, I'm getting called by my daughter.
For those of you watching at home, good, because otherwise you're going to be out somewhere hanging out with people, which in the pandemic era in which we live, not exactly cool. Okay, bye, Amal. Go ahead. While you're out, pick up some milk because we don't have any more. So anyway,
How many? I forget how many years. We're in between the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
Yes, that is correct.
Yes.
It's about
But-
7 or 8 years now after the Battle of the Five Armies.
So yeah, there's like 17 years in between, right? In between those
closer
two.
Between Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, no longer than that.
It was like 40 or 50.
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah, very
Oh.
long. Because remember, Bilbo has to be, is with the ring for decades before
Oh, yeah, he was
Gandalf
back.
figures it out.
Am I thinking?
150 Jahre alt. As they say in the
Oh,
German.
maybe it's
So sorry.
maybe it's between the start of Lord of the Rings and when Gandalf returns and they actually starts going on the adventure.
Oh yeah. Like there, right? There's like I think
Like
9
after
years,
Bilbo
I believe, that
goes.
extend. Right. That's
Like,
true, but that's after the Lord of the Rings has already begun.
Right.
Yeah, I was
Frodo
thinking
was
of
in
that.
his tweens.
Yeah,
There's that short film.
right. The
of,
Hunt for Gollum.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's set in that time frame.
Yep.
I think that's 17 years. Yeah. Okay.
Did you
Fan-made
know
short
that
film, you mean?
this short film it was a fan film really, but it was very well done, called
Yeah.
The Hunt for Gollum.
Yeah. Okay. I
Did
was
you
just
know
like,
that I
was
had
that
one
the
of my
you saw?
books was optioned by the director of that film for a brief period of time, and then it ended up
Oh.
not working out. But yeah, so
Sad.
That's cool.
So anyway, you're on your way. Although actually, wait, Terry, did you answer the level is okay, so we're good. So we're solved on that,
Yeah.
that question. Okay. So
I was like because I have like 3 D&D campaigns running like in parallel for a week right now. I was like confused. Like the other campaign we had to level up, so like,
no problem.
yeah.
That's fine. So as you were on your way, slowly, as I said, Balin asks lots of questions of all of you of different things, and he says, I am curious about what you feel about the current events in Dale. I have heard that in the last year or so there has been some real disruption. All kinds of rumors about Queen Una and those who are associated with the royal court and those kinds of things. I'm wondering what all of you have felt about this, since you are so invested now in the doings of Dale.
Inge looks at Tony.
Oh, he's just kind of half staring down the road, half just kind of occasionally. Like his hackles are up a little bit because somebody got attacked on this road.
Right.
so he's
Yeah.
kind of- he's just keeping an eye on things, and he's like, politics isn't really my fare. I just try to keep people healthy.
Well, you did so for me, at least, and I am most appreciative. But surely the rest of you have been concerned about what is happening in this place. I know what it is like to be looked to for leadership and help, and I wonder if any of you have received petitions, official or otherwise, about these things.
I am not entirely sure what you mean.
Go ahead, River. He's like, when you get a
I'm
chance.
sorry, I'm just trying to finish eating this.
No,
bread.
that's fine. That's fine.
It's really tasty,
So
but
that's
also,
fine.
I guess we didn't find anything, right?
No.
Okay.
Nothing that was unusual. In fact, you didn't even find the arrows. in fact.
That is odd.
Yeah.
That is
really
that
weird.
is a good thing to have confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I will finish this chomp and then I will speak.
That's fine. So
And you didn't say arrow, you said spear when you first were describing it.
spear, but then they also fired arrows. That
Right.
he did mention that they had fired arrows after him. So he says, well, quite simply, I mean whether or not you have been asked to follow up. Although these are not the shadowed times of the past, there are still those who believe that there is something greater that lurks in the background, in the distance. And at those moments, sometimes we on localer levels are asked to be held to account. So I wondered if anyone had come to you, or, and looking at you, Inga, or any of you seeking counsel, or comfort, or aid, as you aided me just now, for instance.
Over the past year?
Yes.
Well, we've all been doing our part as much as we can to help Dale. We've all been working with people in Brokenstone in particular to try and build up from there what has not been addressed or has been overlooked by River trying very hard not to speak ill of the king and stuff, by busy and powerful folk. And we have been doing that, but more specifically, do you mean... forgive me for being so direct. Are you speaking of anything to do with Shadow?
What if I were? And he kind of leans in with a half smile, eyes very keen. And when I say lean in, I mean on the back of Lilimon. So
Yeah.
that, you know, in case you're like, how is he
They're
doing
sort
that?
of like on a level now.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
The saddle starts to twist.
It's like, do you think? Oh, hold on. Phone call from my child. Sorry, my 13-year-old is picking up my 5-year-old from school. So,
Aww.
hello.
For 5-year-olds? I'm confused.
5-year-olds go to like kindergarten or.
But that's on school, right?
It's
I'm
preschool.
confused.
It's like
Okay. Yeah, over here, like, school starts at 6, so.
regular school. Yeah, like grade 1 and so on. I remember as being 6, but before that, kindergarten was a thing. It's like a
Yeah,
German
well, I
word.
mean, we also
Yeah.
have a kindergarten.
I was
that's
like,
not
yeah,
school.
wait.
That's like
I was
distinctly
gonna
not
say that.
school.
If you hadn't said it, I was going to say it's a German word. She doesn't know that.
Yeah.
And but
Eh, German? What?
In regard to the game, I'm not forgetting some. I mean, like the most recent Shadow thing was the scabbard, right? Like that was the shadowiest thing, and we gave that to Radagast, right?
mm-hmm.
Cool.
And locked up.
Longo.
Longo.
He's more like locked go. Am I right? Am I right? Oh.
And before
Long
that
gone.
was Mr. Stinky Breath Dragon, who now has a very beautiful heart.
Mr. Stinky Breath Dragon.
That's right. That's right. Oh god.
Oh, wonderful.
What was the dragon's name? What was the dragon's name?
Raynar.
Raynar.
Naina, which is also the name of my foster brother.
Wow.
Yeah, Rainer is just like a regular-ish like male first name in German.
Is he the Terror of the North there?
Oh no.
Because I don't live in the north, so.
Oh, Terror of the South?
No, the west.
Is he a terror? That's the real question. I don't care
No
which
comment.
direction.
I haven't seen him since I was a kid, so I don't know.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, she's going to pick up the school near us is less than like, I don't know, it's like half a mile. So she's going
She
up.
doesn't have to drive that far. Good.
Yeah, very funny. So she's going to pick him up from school. And it's like the first time that she's doing this completely on her own, and so she's very nervous about it. So she has her phone watch thing with her and everything and all that. So she's like,
So little Arv is picking up little
Arv is picking up mini Arv. Yes.
Mini Arv.
Mini Arv, who is
Mini
wearing
Arv and
a,
Micro
who is wearing, they have a uniform in quotes, which is just like solid pants. So he looks very cute. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, they are pretty adorable, though. I'm
Proud
biased.
dad.
I mean, of course,
You
I'll
are
fully
radiating
admit that.
very strong dad energy. Right?
Listen, she's gonna be in 8th grade next year, my oldest. So it's a little weird to me to see these things happening.
I guess it was like a month ago. We were getting ready to play. I think we were starting Pasha at Palace of the Red Pasha, and she stepped in the background before we went live, and I was like, "Oh my God, is that her?"
Yeah,
You
I know.
I was like,
I know.
"Jeez, she's huge."
It's true. She's grown up on this stream, basically, you
Yeah.
know, and it's like it's a very strange experience, but it's it's nice. Like obviously, it's sad as a parent. It's bittersweet because it's sad to see kids grow up, and you don't have the kids you remember at that time. But I also really love the young woman she's turning into. She's a really. I mean, she's the light of my life, as I've said many times, but seeing the kind of person she's turned into is really special. And I look forward to seeing them as they get older too. It's not just, like I only want them to ever be like a doll in like a certain, so yeah.
That's so sweet. And I much more shallowly am going to be like, I'm just astonished at how much altitude she seems to be gaining and how quickly.
That's true. She is actually
How
about
tall
my
is she?
wife's height already. She's 5'6", just about 5'5.5", 5'6", and she's 13. Yep. I'm 6'3", and she keeps saying she's like, well, I'm taller than, I'm like, my son's is tall too. He's probably going to end up passing her in the end. So.
All you Collins.
Yeah. Oh, phone call again. I'm sorry. One more time.
Really?
3 steps probably.
Oh, bless.
There's a mailbox out here that looks like a bear.
Oh. Little Arv.
That sounds like a quote.
Probably. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, I remember when I was that young, back in the 1830s, I think. Yeah.
So we are headed from Lake Town to Dale.
No, from Haven to Dale. Well, actually, where does Bolo live? I kept needing to ask this before.
We probably established that at some point, right? Like in character, I mean, but not in game. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
because he said he'd come from the Shire, but
Yeah.
but where do you live?
Well, I probably would have set up shop in Dale at this point. I mean, I was full on adventuring mode when I met the fellow who sent me to you guys. I forget his name. Robar?
Robar.
Yes.
Bar.
Yeah.
So
So I would
could
have.
totally see Bolo
Bobby.
living above the battered mug. I think
Yeah,
that'd be
right.
adorable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A little room.
Having lived above a wine bar in the past, I wouldn't recommend being a penniless student to anyone, but definitely it's nice to be able to just kind of head downstairs and immediately socialize with lots of people and stuff. And
Yeah.
Oh,
And
my
escape
brother.
quickly too.
When I was still in I guess equivalent would be high school. One of my older brothers was co-owning an Irish pub that was across the street from the train station I needed to go to get home to get to school and back home. So guess where I hung out after school every day?
Aw.
Yeah,
A train station.
at the train station, indeed.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing because she's like she's a rule follower, so she's very much like, I don't know, I feel like I wore the wrong stuff and I was gonna take into the park and I don't have the right thing and and I'm like, honey, it'll be completely fine. And I mean, I'm Generation X, right? I'm a latchkey kid. Like I grew up, I just walked home on my own from 5th grade on, for a mile, and who cared if I got lost along the way. So it's a very different experience.
Yeah, what is latchkey mean?
It's a term for when you get home and your parents aren't home, so you open the door yourself and get
Yep.
stuff.
That was me. General Hospital, the 3 channels that we actually had on our TV. I got
I
home.
tell you, I was so hooked on the plot thread with Laura and Luke. Man, I
Yeah.
could not get enough of that show.
Oh man. Anyway, my apologies. That interruption may happen again, chat. Just letting you know. But anyway, okay. Where were we?
Yeah,
We're getting to Dale.
We're getting to Dale.
Yes, yeah.
We managed to establish, whilst you were away, that we now know where Bolo lives, which was something we totally neglected to figure out before.
Yeah,
Bolo
and
lives
you-
above the battered mug.
And
which is
you
great.
aren't allowed to know.
Oh,
Oh yeah, but yeah. In response to what Balin asked about, so it was like asking about the shadow and saying if I were and stuff like that, and so River is kind of frowning a little and says, "The last we heard of that was when we dealt with Longo. He had a scabbard with him that seemed particularly dangerous and fell, and it now is with, we left it with Radagast, the Brown, and other than that we've had several confrontations with this sort of gathering darkness in the past, but not so much for the last year."
And he nods slowly and he says, I see. That is interesting to me. This whole business with the scabbard. In my day, of course, we knew of these shadow-like things and ran into them on more than one occasion. Thorin himself might have been drawn to the shadow in certain cases. And his eyes kind of unfocus for a minute as if he's remembering something a long time ago. For the love of God, who else is calling me?
We've been trying to reach you about your cars.
Sadly,
He
you would
wishes,
no
he
longer have a
wishes.
title opportunity. I'm going to like, you are going to get smacked.
That's the word I was.
So, anyway, he says, and his eyes kind of refocus, and he says, but at least for now, it seems like the danger was thwarted. Do you think that the city was more vulnerable than it should have been? You, for example, and he looks at you, River, seem to be uncertain about the way in which all of Dale's citizens were being treated. I wonder if you have deeper concerns about how the leadership is managing. And again, you have this very uncomfortable feeling, River, of sort of being like, what? How do I put this in a way? Not uncomfortable as if like he's being, but just very, very cunning. Like very pointed questions.
Yeah. Yeah, River looks at Balin like in a kind of like, I'm trying to have a straightforward conversation here. But says, we have thought on several occasions that it would have been impossible for Longo to act alone with what he did. That there had to have been some other connection, some other partner, enabler. Knowing exactly how and where to strike and putting elements of the city in conflict and against each other. And the timing in particular of the Queen's illness with what was happening also seemed by design.
I would agree. I wonder if there is concerns about the city's ability to protect itself. King Bard is a good man and served both the people of Lake Town and the people of Dale and Esgaroth well since the fall of Smog, which he helped bring about. But I wonder if those around him are all of the same mind as he. If you'll pardon my saying so, human lives are sometimes fickle. And he looks at you, Inga, and he says, "Dwarves have a somewhat larger perspective." And you think maybe he gives you a quick wink as if to say, like, you know, dwarves, right? Like, but maybe not. It may just be him, like, you know.
I nod and smile.
And he,
Like,
yeah.
racist grandpa.
And he says, but in any case, it is good that Dale has such heroes that are protecting it. I heard about the deeds that you engaged in with the dragon. I have some understanding of dragons too, of course, having dealt with one. What was it like dealing with that great worm of Frost Raynor? And he kind of, again, his eyes sort of sparkle. You see a little bit of it may just be a trick of the setting sun, but in his eyes you wonder if you don't see a little bit of the embers of a dying fire over which tales have been told. And he asked that to any of you.
Yeah, River goes quiet when he asks that.
Kind of amusing because Tawny was just going to basically go towards River like storyteller.
It was the greatest adventure of my life.
So far.
And he says, "Tell me about it." And if you wish, River, you can actually make this a performance check if you wanted to make this a little more formal.
Yeah, actually, I think so.
Okay.
I think this specifically, I mean, I get the sense that this isn't actually a story that River tells a great deal. Like, this is something that
Right.
other people, you know, tell and stuff like that, the story. But she, I get the sense that this is actually a story that she tends to hold on to and remind herself of in times when she wants to remember her own strength. Because in some very literal ways, it was part of a previous life in that, you know, she then died.
Right.
And stuff. So it feels like something that is both intimately connected to her and also that that's sort of sacred to her. But she is going to tell the story. But I think that feeling of intimacy and quiet and dread and awe ultimately is how she is telling this.
Seems appropriate. Trendane, by the way, has inspired you in this check.
Aw,
Seems appropriate.
thank you.
I have this image of Tani walking along the road and, well, go get him. Like, let's go. Show him what for. You know.
So is that that's performance?
That's performance, I would say. You could try for like a traditions, but I think performance means more sense. Well, I think I know which one we'll be taking. So yeah, just, you don't have to give me all of it, but just give me a quick sense, like.
So I think she'll start. I mean, I think that there'll be like a sort of quick stretch of how exhausted they were by the blasted heath, the withered heath, and the strangeness there, and then the knowledge that they were going into a place that was going to be even more difficult to face than what they had gone through. But then they saw the dragon and knew that if that dragon reached the mountain before them, that everything would be lost for everyone who they cared about. And I'm saying this in third person partly because, like, you know, that's the, yeah, to not
Sure.
inhabit the way River's doing.
Sure.
And then remembering the, she'll say that, and then she did the only thing she could think to do, and she'll get really quiet there and say that she had this harp that had been given to her by Gandalf, and she pulled it out, and
You may have heard of him.
On occasion. Says.
And that she struck the greatest, strongest chord that she could to try and bring the dragon's attention bearing down on them. And then when Reynard arrived, bargained with him for in the name of remembering freedom and the horrors of being bound, and finding some kind of kinship or connection through that, and worked with him then to destroy this dark and fell and shadowed chain. And yeah, I think she'll probably end on something like, you know, the question was, what was it like to face the dragon and stuff, right?
Right.
So I think she'll say that nothing that came after standing face to face with him was frightening anymore. That it was just that this was like the peak of that, and in the wake of it, everything else, no matter how difficult, seemed small. And that she left her harp with him in the end.
And he hears all of that, kind of taking it all in, and says, "That's a well-told tale. I can imagine what it was like leaving behind a harp of that marvelous quality with it. And it's not easy to manage with a dragon, or, as I once said to another halfling hobbit long years ago, so I've always heard. But I'm glad that you did what was necessary, having the scourge of the north come down here. We had enough time, I think, with dragons already." And he looks over at you, Bolo, and he says, "You are not part of this party's dealings with the dragon, but I know something of the inner soul of hobbits, you might say. I knew one very well myself. Do you think you'll be able to follow in Bilbo's footsteps? Or do you think you'll be separate, different from him? Do you wish to mostly cook? Or do you wish to be," his eyes sparkle, "a took?"
Well, I couldn't claim to walk in Bilbo's footsteps. Those are legendary name to follow, but I hope I could blaze my own trail, make a name for myself. And I do like to cook, I will admit that.
And he says, "When blazing your own trail, what exactly do you most seek, do you think?"
Well, I will admit it was fame and fortune in the beginning, like Bilbo got, but now that I'm here, that's changing a little bit. I think I just want to do good for other people.
And he smiles and he says, "I imagine that trips and journeys change everyone, as it did for dear Bilbo." He says, "What happens, though, Bolo, if it changes you more than you expect? What if it gives you dimensions you don't like as much?"
Well, that's a good question, but I'm also starting to realize I need to rely on my friends. I think I'd do that.
And he smiles. He says, "I can think of no better way to be involved in a journey than to rely on your friends. And he looks at all of you, and as you are closing in at this point, he sort of looks up and says, "Ah, Dale at last." And you can see the Trader's Gate, where a year ago you had the whole incident with the, the wagon and the thing being closed and all that. Fortunately, that is not the case this time. The gates are open. And we go back in an infinite loop. No, I'm just kidding. So you go... the gate is open.
I've come
We
to
have always
bargain.
been arriving at Dale.
Exactly. But the future refused to change. But so you come up to the Trader's Gate, and he says, "Here I will take my leave." And he gets off of Lilimon and pets Lilimon on the side again, "with thanks for the ride and your companionship. I must go and seek out some of my kin, and then, of course, King Bard. You, and he looks back at all of you. You might hear some disturbing news soon enough. When you do, seek out my friend Thrun at the toy market. Just a bit of advice from an old adventurer to much younger ones." And he kind of winks again, and he says, "In the meantime, don't spread the word that I fell. That kind of thing gets around, you know." And he turns and with surprising speed makes his way into the rapidly dwindling, because of the nighttime, crowds of Dale. Just before we go on, this is a good moment to pause and welcome everybody to Day 16 of Adventures in Middle-earth, Erebor Adventures. This part is called Of Hammers and Anvils. If you like what you see and hear, please make sure to follow the channel, support the Patreon, and please make sure to check out all of these lovely individual players' amazing things that they do, whether it's on Twitch or elsewhere. Trendane Sparks, Brad Bollier, Terry Toons, and Amal Almatar. Please check them all out. They are an amazing crew, and I am lucky to have all of them as friends and players.
If you happen to work at the New York DMV, answer.
Yes, and if you're at the DMV, for the love of God, get back to me. They responded. Wait, what did they say? They're like, "We will look at this. We will reissue the title today. It will be sent to blah 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 blah." Wow.
What
The correct
happens when you help
address?
dwarves?
Well, I can't give them the correct address because then they'd be like, "Wait, what do you mean?" I'm like, "We're going to move. It's going to be forwarded, so that's fine." So I will say, "Thank you so much." Now, if you could convince the Connecticut DMV to not be rude, that would be okay. Anyway, one miracle
They
at a
immediately
time.
respond. It's not
Yeah,
bothering.
exactly.
Oh.
I have to say, that is all done via Twitter DM. Like, for everything that Twitter does, like, they were like, DMs are open. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And this all got done in like an hour. I'm like, really?
That's how long you were on hold.
Yeah, I know. Like, so thanks for the follow, person whose name I couldn't read on the screen. Yeah, sorry about that. Whoever just followed me, I'm sorry. I was too busy being pleased that I have half a chance of getting my cars registered here. Connecticut is my home state, and I really, and I love Connecticut, and I think Connecticut has a lot of really wonderful people in it. But man, sometimes, and maybe it's just this particular person got, I don't know. When I was a kid and I got my driver's license, the DMV that I went to had like basically, I mean, it was Winstead. It was in the middle of nowhere, so no one was there. And like, they were perfectly nice and friendly and, all that kind of thing. So maybe I just had a bad day. Regardless, thank you, New York State DMV. Well done. If you wish to sponsor this program now that I've moved out of New York State, that would be great. So can you imagine? Adventures of Middle-earth, sponsored by the New York State DMV. Like, why? Like, what does that do? It's about journeys. There's lots of journeying.
Go on lots of. If you think that adventuring is hard, consider a car.
Exactly. Having difficulty? Have you registered your horse yet? Because I have to say, by the way, one quick note about this is that, as usual, the layout and everything by Cubicle 7 was beautiful. And even the little touches, that part that we just went through was called like the falling of small stones. That's a nice moment that we're not likely to, you're not always going to say to players like this. But it's just a nice little moment, even for the lore master as you're reading through. It really kind of helps, sets the mood. Okay, so the next Monday after you arrive in Dale is the first Monday of the month. And as we all know, I hope everybody in chat and elsewhere knows, Monday, the first Monday of every month, is Toy Market Day. And this is not any normal toy market. As I said, this is Super Toy Market. Hey, what's up, Coven? How you doing, man? This is super
It's like
awesome
Super
toy
Toy
market.
Club.
It is.
Do we get to do the Super Toy Race?
The Super Toy Race.
Woo!
It's like a score of wonderful new toys will be presented to the public. There are expected to be a good number of new merchants, including many foreigners bearing rare and exciting goods that are supposed to be in attendance. And so everywhere you go, basically in Dale, you've been hearing people talk about like, oh, the toy market, toy market. Like everyone wants to go to the toy market. Now, that being said, you are not obligated to go to the toy market if you don't want to, but it is definitely the talk of the town. So what I want to ask everybody is when you arrive there, are you going to follow any particular leads or do anything in particular or not? Because the big sort of event that's occurring is the toy market, but I'm not railroading you there. You can go wherever you like.
I imagine that River probably has like Nieblings, that like nieces and nephews and stuff.
Lots of them.
Yes, that she'll probably love to send some toys to, especially if they are cool and magical and fly around. Yes, I think so.
Okay. What about the rest of you?
I'm like thinking, are there any children in Inge's clan by now? Like, did any other people join the clan in the last year? Because it was just like 5 or 6 people.
I would say that I would say absolutely, especially given what is your increased, because not only does it help the people in Dale that there's construction going on, it's jobs, right? Like, I mean, it's help for the dwarves too. So I would say yes, they would see you as definitely up and comers. Plus, your parents now are more actively recruiting again since your mother's recovered from her illness, etc. So yeah.
Weird little logistical question.
Sure.
So like Inge has a holding and so does Tawny, right? Like Haven and the Dale village or something, or
yeah, let me try to remember how we did this. Inge does, and I think her holding was given to Make Haven, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Inge, but I think that's right.
Inge has
Well, I mean, you have your family things, but that's a separate deal. But I'm talking about when you were made Thane, I believe you were given a holding, and I can't remember if it was you or if it was Tawny that gave over what you had been given to Make Haven.
I would have said it was Tawny, but like now I'm not sure anymore.
It might have. I don't remember if it was Tawny or if it was Inge. I don't recall.
Is it relevant who it was?
The reason I'm asking is just because I'm trying to remember how the income thing works there. Like that they're supposed to get some kind of income from them that I thought accrued over a fellowship phase.
That's correct. That accrues over time.
No, right, that was over Inge. Right.
I just
because we were like checking where could that actually be, that it would like still be considered part of like the Dwarven Kingdom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Basically.
So
like land to give away by King Dine, basically.
Right.
That was like the whole issue.
So that was the whole thing. The only reason I was wondering was to see whether like we the party have more money as a consequence or something like that.
I would say yes. I would say that the sort of, at least initially, the return is not enormous because it's only just kind of gotten underway. But yes, I would say that you do receive 2 gold pieces from that fellowship phase for this first time around. Haven has grown a little bit. Now, Ash, who's running Haven, basically has been careful, River, because she doesn't want to, she wants to make sure that ne'er-do-wells do not join and like, oh, I can work for my, and then suddenly like all thieves in the night, right? So she's trying to make sure that she vets everybody. But that said, it has grown, and I would say the same thing for the clan, that as you have gradually, more dwarves have come and become a part of this, that you and your parents both have been careful about, because it can cause bad feeling with other clans if they're just like, the hell with you, like, they abandoning who they know and like abandoning their people and joining you. So it has to be done carefully. That said, though, both groups, Haven and the clan in general, have grown somewhat. Yes, I think.
Well, like I'm assuming that, like, first of all, not all dwarves are part of a clan. So like
that is very true. There are some
people who would like join are like were like clanless before that,
some,
or like
yes.
They were like not from Erebor.
Some, that's correct. Although more are in clans than not, but yes, that is true. That's correct.
But
Yep.
Like, I mean, like considering like basically since it has been like 7 or 8 years since the Erebor was like reconquered, but then like first everything needed to be rebuilt.
Right,
That took
right.
time.
Right.
So like I guess there's still like former dwarven refugees like coming in like every day.
Yep. That's
like,
true.
Looking for a new home, right?
That is true. Although many of them still identify with one clan or the other, not necessarily yours, but your overall point is right. Yep.
Yeah.
I would imagine that Vig, probably given his past, is helping Ash when he like recognizes like that
Oh yeah.
activity right there is probably something we don't want.
Big time. In fact, Vig has been, we tried to sort of establish in the fellowship phase, Vig has been hugely helpful to Ash and sort of like, and seems completely devoted to the project insofar as, you know, like a new lease on life and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, for sure. In fact, Ash has made clear to you, River, that of all the people at Haven, like Vig has sort of worked harder than anybody else since this experience. So yeah. So that's okay. So just to be clear, then, does that mean that everyone like, and that I want to ask about Bolo too. Like, are all of you going to make your way to the toy market, or what's the plan? Or and Tommy also. I'm curious about who's doing what.
I'm mostly curious about like the sorts of things that they would create. So I'm just
I thought
from
maybe.
a design and ingenuity sort of perspective, and I'm assuming there may be an orphanage in like the battered mug area.
Yes.
So maybe I'll
Broken Stone.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
Like Balin told us to like meet a guy named Thrun there, right?
If we heard bad news.
Yeah. After
If
this
we
thing,
heard bad, yeah, I
after
was
this
about
weird
to
thing
ask
about
like
bad
why
news.
were we supposed to meet that guy? I forgot. But yeah, okay. If we heard bad news, okay, good.
Tawny is convinced that if he goes over there, some kid is going to be like, "Mom, buy me that bear."
First, you have to hit 4 darts in the center of this target, and it's not happening, kid.
It's really simple. Just remember to arc the darts.
Yeah.
I'm sort of wondering if Brindle is around as a contact that that River would have been like in touch with.
Yes, I would say so.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I basically if it's Monday and the market's on, I think that any other stuff that they are there to do can probably wait until after or be threaded into the market, unless Tawny wanted to like go to the palace first thing and stuff, because I imagine we'll have delivered news to Bard first.
Quite possibly, and besides, Balin said he was going to do that first. So I mean, Balin was gonna, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So yes.
Okay. So yeah. Also, apologies by the way if whenever I unmute myself, if you can hear this drilling that's happening.
Barely.
Okay, good. It's horrible here.
I'm deaf. I can't hear anything.
Oops, hold on. Let me leave this for a second. I think my daughter has returned with my son. I think they are all safe and okay. Either that, or I have someone who sounds exactly like my daughter in my house, which is a little troubling.
Uncanny.
Okay. All right. So as you are sort of walking through Toy Market, Tawny maybe reluctantly, despite your concerns,
no.
you're not. Okay. So
No, he's not going to. No, because of the involvement. Because I mean, they were among the people who saw the boat that they suspect was the people who attacked Balin and crew.
Gotcha.
He is making for Bard.
Okay. So so then I'm gonna cover Toy Market and then come back to Bard, because I think that'll work. So for the 3 of you then, so for Bolo, Inga, and the River, as you're walking around town, now, first of all, this is an extraordinary sight, right? The Toy Market Day, and I'm trying to think of an open air market that would sort of be a close equivalent to this. There is just like wall to wall, essentially, booths with shelves stacked with wooden toys, with sort of marvelous metal creations made out of steel and iron. There are things that look for all the world like actual real steel weapons that you're a little bit like, wait, what? But then when you come up to them, you can see that like one kid has it and is like pointing, like using it on a shield of someone else, and the thing immediately like bends practically in half, so it's just like incredibly well made to look like it's actual metal, but it isn't. And like numerous examples of this there are. In fact, I should totally get rid of this music, which is lovely, but we need to reflect. This is Toy Market, y'all. All right, this is not like
I'm just like
let's go get
getting
some
vibes from the Spiel. That's like a large board game convention.
Yep.
A few towns over here that also has like general toys and also like a role-playing section and everything.
Yep,
Just
I've
like
heard about
getting
that.
that
and
vibe, Rednet.
I've heard of that, and I wanted to actually go to that at some point because I thought it seemed really cool.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, if you ever decide,
before
like,
the world
dude,
fell
I live
apart,
like,
you know?
Yeah, before the world fell apart. Like, dude, I live like less than an hour away from the
Oh,
town.
nice. Listen, Carrie, seriously, like I have so many people that I want to, including obviously you're at the top of the list of people that I want to visit in Germany and so on, for sure. Anyway, so soon, second vaccination coming up on Thursday. Soon, it's on the way. As you're sort of going around here, so again, it's quite a sight. However, despite this, it feels a little muted to you. It's not quite as sort of like, wow, like as you would expect. I mean, it's still really impressive, but it's not quite the same level of excitement that you might have expected. In particular, Inga, I would say that you notice this most of all. Many dwarf crafters and traders that you encounter along the streets seem somewhat troubled. And in the market square in particular, which I should bring us into Dale while we're on that subject. Bring me over to Dale. There we go. Whoa, zoom out. A little close, a little too close. All right. Right. So here in Market Square, where people can move their tokens if they wish, except for Tani. But in the square, people seem to have a lot of almost like long faces, you know, even as the hawkers are calling out their wares, their voices seem to lack the usual gusto, and the normally exuberant sounds of delighted children are somewhat muted also. And you can also see there are, and this is something that all of you notice, that there are many armed guards that are on the corners of the square and moving through the crowd. There's just a little bit of tension, it seems, in the air, which is unusual. You had not noticed this before in the market. Especially on Toy Market Day. And so that is just sort of something to keep in mind, I suppose, as you're going around. You can definitely investigate that further if you wish, but it's something that you note. Just the environment feels off.
Okay.
As you're traveling around, you start hearing also some people chatting to each other about it can happen there. Who knows other things that can happen? No. Where's security? What's happening with Bard? So like, there's a lot of like murmuring about security and things that are wrong, and in particular, again, the dwarves seem to be particularly dour and serious as you go through, even sad.
Yeah, I guess like at some point, I will walk up to like one of the toy stands where like some of those dwarves are standing that are like discussing this, and I'm just like, what is this? What's going on? I just got back into town, so I don't know what's up.
Says, I don't know what you mean, master.
You said something about King Bard.
Oh, well, I have no wish to darken this bright market with such talk. I'm sorry you overheard that. It's not my place. Perhaps a marionette. And they kind of show off one of the puppets. They kind of clam
I like
up.
give him like a very stern look and like raise one eyebrow, like.
He gives you like a sheepish.
And like, she points to her cloak pin, which is a symbol of her clan, and like which would like show that she's like a clan chief, basically.
Right.
And
they note that, and he's like, and then you hear a voice behind you, Inga, and you hear, don't take it against him, miss. He's not going to give anything, that one. They all been clamming up today, all the dwarves. And as you turn, you can see that you're looking at what is clearly another merchant, but this is a Dalish human merchant. And he says, if you want to know what's happening, I can tell you why he and the rest of the dwarves haven't been very happy about it. You see,
Please.
well, word has it that Balin was attacked. Balin, son of Fundin, the Lord himself, was attacked. And word is he didn't make it.
No, he did make it.
What do you mean?
We came here with him.
Bearded him out.
Yeah.
Miss, I don't think you understand. This is last night. He was attacked in the old quarter.
Wait,
And
what?
And then he goes, he didn't make it.
What?
And one of his companions nearby, another one of the merchants, like, aye, that's what I heard. Murdered right
Who
on the
did you
streets.
hear that from?
Well, that's the rumor. All the guards around here have been looking for it. It's word about this. He's been slain. That's the rumor.
Yeah, I fucking book it to like, what did they say where it was?
They said to the old quarter, but that's like,
Wait, actually, before Inga can run away, like River actually is gonna like shoot out an arm and stop her,
okay.
and go, and just kind of look at the man and say, "That sounds terrible. That sounds like very bad news."
Aye, it's bad business.
Yes, that's
Right.
why we need to go
No,
find him right now.
Yes, I think my friend and I will need a moment, and like just to kind of like what River wants to do is say like, right, we need to go to what's his name,
Thrune.
Thrune. Yeah, they give you a puzzled look as you turn away. I love this image, by the way. People are like, yeah, we need to. Yes, what my friend is saying is that. Like, it's really funny.
Right. So like not with these people specifically, but River will be like, so where can we find Thrune?
And so if you want to sort of look for them, you get general kind of, some of the people have not heard of Thrune and other people have, and over time they gradually bring you or they direct you towards this one area where you notice that in spite the general kind of gloom around the market, that here in particular, this one stall has a lot of people that are gathered around it, and there's a lot of people laughing, and they're sort of examining the wares on display. And upon approaching, they see this. Let me show you on stream. They see this. A very young but lively dwarf who is demonstrating the property of these marvelous wooden boxes. And he has these 3 boxes that are next to each other, and he sort of smiles and winks. There's a bunch of kids in the front too. And he says, and then he taps on it, and nothing. Oh my gosh. I can give you, okay, I'm about to show you. Here you go, chat. You don't get this every day, but since Arv has been opening up his office and finding his previous stuff, I'm going to show you a magical box. Just wait a second.
Oh. Handouts. Wait, we are. Sad.
Okay. I would like you all to note, a little dusty, it's been a while. I'd like you all to note,
Ah,
you can see this magical box, right?
very cool, very cool.
And you can't open it normally, but if you
Open
were
it
to,
strangely?
what's that?
Can you open it strangely?
Not strange. I could rip it open. If you were to
Oh.
slide it this
Hammer
way.
will do it.
There we go. If you slide it this way, revealing, right?
In compartment.
And then you open this, and then
A key.
the key.
Here?
And then you're like, but wait, there's no keyhole on this magical box. Or is there?
Or is there?
So many secrets.
And then, and he puts the key in, revealing what Arv thought was really cool when he was 10, which
His
is
pet
apparently
frog. Ugh.
a shell kazoo And
That's amazing. I love it.
and and I remember this. And kangaroos made out of, come on, focus camera.
Kangaroo meat?
Seashells.
Oh,
Made out of seashells, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Aw.
that's awesome!
Cute.
Yeah.
Aw.
So that's
Please
what I
play
thought.
the kazoo.
Apparently
Yes,
that's what I
please
thought was
play
cool.
the kazoo. Play the
Play the
kazoo.
kazoo.
Does it play the
Play
kazoo?
the kazoo.
that's not how a kazoo works.
I don't think no, but it doesn't.
No more.
Maybe-
No!
Oh, Jesus.
I don't like
It
it.
may
Stone-
not. This
Stone
is about
starts
30.
whining and then
To be
cringing
clear,
away.
this is about 40 years old. It's possible that it's.
Probably the membrane is broken or something.
Yeah, I would say.
Ah.
But anyway, so that's what I thought apparently was cool, because I'm sure I
20
got this
years.
and I was like, I don't know what I have to. I'm 8. What do I have to keep that's cool? I also have this key. God ever knows what this key is to. But
It's
anyway,
the key to another magic box that
It's-
you yet
yeah.
have to find, and that is the real puzzle.
that's the real puzzle. In real life, this is actually Guatemalan, but in our life here. Wait, I have to lock it. In our life here, this is the box that he shows, and so he's showing this off, and the kids, of course, are oohing and eyeing, and he's like inviting them to try the box, and they can't open it, and he gradually shows parts of it, and the parents are kind of smiling, and he says, and they all applaud when he's done, like, aha, so, and he goes back and forth and does all this stuff. And everything seems to be sort of very impressive. He has these series of interlinked rings, and I'm sorry, Chad, I don't have any Guatemalan design rings to show you. I have to go with the box for now. But he pulls out this series of interlinked rings that are sort of, first seem to be completely disconnected, just solid rings, and then and pulls them, and suddenly they pop apart, but they're still solid rings, and everyone's like, ooh, and he shows them.
Which? Burn him!
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then he shows at one point, he shows this ring. Actually, I do have this. Man, you guys are getting it all today. Come on, focus.
Try.
Was that a dice ring?
Uh,
Not
No,
working.
it's not. Come
No.
on.
It was
There we go.
working.
there.
There we go.
It did not work.
So,
Barely.
No. Pull
Yep.
away. No, away.
Nope.
I think it works better without your palm behind
without my
it.
palm there, because otherwise it tries to focus on me. Anyway, you can maybe see it. So these are two. In real life, this is a Celtic two-headed bird that is woven around the of my wedding ring. But in the life of the actual game, these are actually dragons, and the dragons, as you look at them, seem to literally writhe and shift and twist around the finger of the person wearing it. So there are a couple times where someone comes up with a much larger finger, and he puts it on, and then whoosh, and it like surrounds the finger perfectly. And then when they take it off, it's very large, and when he puts it on to another child's finger, it shrinks to the perfect size. So everyone is just, wow, this is amazing.
Like Tony Stark, but in Dwarven Middle Earth. Yeah.
Does it sort of whisper? Yes.
Yes.
No, don't put that on.
It's a bad idea.
Where's the kick going? Whoa.
Ashna Grimbato. Yeah, no, it doesn't do that.
Uh-huh.
So it says, but you notice, actually, let me have everybody make a perception check while you're watching this display.
Perception.
Okay. Ooh,
My rolls
wow.
today
Nice
are
one, River.
not great.
The river's just like so. I would
Mal,
say
you want to give me some of your dice, Karma?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I think Ig is still
Well, and
amazed
then-
by the secret box.
And then Bolo keeps getting double rolls.
Yeah. So Bolo and the river both are just kind of like, oh man, this thing is happening. And what is actually happening is you begin to hear some grumbling from one side of the crowd. And as Bolo, as you and the river look over, you can see that there are two older dwarves, probably smiths, because you can see their hands are rough. One of them, it looks like maybe has kind of an apron on, although over the top of the apron is a tunic of chain, so it's not totally apron. And you notice that two of them are talking to each other and getting louder about it. One of them's like, typical. It's all what I would see. This kind of thing they can show to all the lords and ladies here. Like that one's got anything. Back in the day, you could actually have some good toy work. You got that right. It could be something better if you want. Instead, you have to use this nonsense. And they're getting louder and louder, basically making all these disparaging comments about the about this toy maker, this young toy maker's work, and about the quality of it, and about the level of it, and where did he get those made? Did you get those from some human smiths, laddie? And they're all like joking each other and getting a little ugly. And Inga, you notice once this is pointed out to you by Bolo in the river, assuming that they do point it out. I shouldn't assume.
I was actually gonna say like River was going to like bristle and actually address this. Like
okay.
Yeah. Like she's actually gonna turn around, very rude, and says kind of like pitching her voice just to like cut through theirs, but not necessarily draw more attention than that of her party. And say, well, do you have any wares worth showing, rather than disparaging those on display?
And they say, begging your pardon, but we wouldn't waste our time showing it when something like this is going to be the thing that gets the attention and the money. Now, at this point, Inga, you hear that, and before I go on to explain more, Inga, you already know this accent. These dwarves are clearly from the Iron Hills. You can tell by the nature of how they speak. And the dwarf that you addressed, River, raises his voice and actually says, in fact, y'all should be ashamed of yourself wasting your time on such trifling matters, toys and trinkets. Only a few years ago, you would have been the laughingstock of any dwarf who ever set foot in a forge. Do you think it's of any value, the praise you're getting from men? An orc is better at smithing than any man. Now, the crowd at this point kind of bails because they can definitely hear, like, this is not, like they're starting to back away. And the toy maker looks at everyone and says, oh, look at what you've done now. All my clients gone. A plague on miners and their stiff necks. You got a problem with miners, they say, and they step up. So now it's like the beards are practically touching as the two miners are facing down this.
I step up.
Yeah, they should definitely be of like legal age before they start fighting.
I step up next to him and like cough audibly, like.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they sort of look over at you.
Do you really think that this is like the place to fight, like with all these people watching?
And he says, if he's mocking our people, where's a good place but to fight? And the young toy maker says, I'm not marking my people, you stiff neck. I'm doing what's necessary to bring joy to these people. Aye, at any cost, I suppose. And, short beard, and they're all, like, glaring at each other, and, like, ooh, snap! It says, you can only see that because you're too small to see the rest, because he's a little taller than them, and like, so there's definitely a lot of, like, we're getting ready, like, we're very much right on the edge of something.
You're a jet.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys stop this right now.
When you're right.
They take out their switchblade hammers.
That's a brilliant idea.
When you're a dwarf all the way from your first big smith to your last dying beard. Anyway.
I love the idea of like a walking stick now that you can just push a button and it ejects like two giant axes on either side, like.
Like you would not want to.
Knife?
Yeah, you would not want to mess with a switchblade hammer like that. That just, Also, hi Suave Savi. Thank you for the follow, and I'm glad now. So they do this, right? And so what did you say, Inga? Please tell me again.
Inga says, switchblade hammers.
That better show up in a story.
Yeah.
If you guys don't stop it now, I'll stop it.
Make an intimidation check for me, please,
Thank
Inga.
you.
Can we assist with the intimidation on account of how we are a posse?
I mean, there's
Bolo
this thing.
kind of puffs out his chest a little bit.
From behind, Bo's like, yeah,
So like River's assist is like countered by Bolo's assist, yes.
yeah, like,
We've also got Stone. I think Stone tips the balance.
Oh yeah.
so
okay,
Stone
so
growls a
that's
little bit, right? And like, I
Well,
see.
now, Arv, you were about to say something about inspiration.
I was about to say, I was like, listen, I mean, I happen to know a certain member of this party, not trending, who can inspire others as well.
Since it's the end of the month and that,
Oh, right, that's me.
Oh!
Yeah, although be careful because the D&D with GOG people are going to hear that. And they're like, yo, we're going to be later on today.
I couldn't.
Well, too bad.
They shouldn't
about you?
disparage our people. Sorry, Amal, go ahead.
So have I used all of mine up? Is my question. Can I?
I don't. It will show you right now. No, it looks like because you may have used one in that first. I think you may have used one in the first session. Because I don't see you here. Because I know. Oh no, you're there.
I'm
Yeah,
there.
you're there.
I'm there twice.
You're there twice. You're right. Yes. Indeed.
Cool. Yay. So basically I'm happy to inspire, but also just want to like say River is also standing there like radiating
Annoyance.
Angry mom energy.
Yeah. And she's got twin axes and a dog.
The gleam of terror.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yes, absolutely. Do I have to do the inspire thing in the chat?
I mean, either
yes.
one is the same thing. If you're assisting or you're doing inspiration, they're both.
They're
Yeah, so
both-
you're going to do exclamation point inspire space and then
Inga.
Inga or Terry Tunes, whatever you like. But we'll get the idea. Yeah, I forgot that I reset that for you. So yes. Hey. Okay. So yes. So Inga, you are inspired on your intimidation.
Yes, I will use my inspiration.
River's behind you. You gonna take that? You can sit there. You can take that?
Intimidation, yes.
Our side of the food court.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh no.
Well,
Now can the assistance come through in terms of the just bristling? Or
well,
should I?
as
should
far
I
as that
make my
goes, you
own-
could also attempt
I'll
to
also make an intimidation.
or do something else if you want. Like you could, whatever you like.
yeah.
Sing a song. I mean, like, I don't know. You could.
She can debating if she should try to persuade them to stop.
Could also do that. If you want to do a traditions like, look, you're dwarves. I don't know. You could. There's multiple things you could try, not just intimidate. That was clearly what Inga was doing.
Yeah.
But the problem is you start doing it, Inga, I imagine, but then you keep getting distracted by Bolo being like,
Well, like the problem is Inga also
Keep,
has
like,
a relatively
elbowing
short
him
beard
away.
because she's also pretty young by the dwarf
Right,
standard.
right.
She's
True.
like what 50 something.
yeah, young buck, being like, oh, come on now, like.
I think River is going to say. I think River is
She
going to
was born
say.
in 2883. So
Wait.
wait,
So,
that-
actually,
Oh, that's older than that. It's 70. But still, regardless, it didn't work.
yeah.
I think I want to understand about the situation, right? So like maybe I need a perception check first. I just want to get a sense. I've been playing Armor Stir elsewhen, and so I'm like, I want to do a read the room roll.
Sure. Well, I think you can do that even without a check. The two miners are facing down, right? So they're sort of face to face with this toy maker, and they're definitely not making fun of him. They seem genuinely angry that he's selling stuff to humans and that it's like something about the low quality work that he's doing. And that I think you can pick up pretty quickly. So,
And is this toy maker Throom? Like the person we're trying to see?
well, you don't know yet, but you would have to guess because this is where you were directed. So you'd guess it was Throom.
The thing that I'm trying to get a sense of is this anger sort of separate from the rumblings about Balin?
Yeah, you don't think it has anything to do with that.
Doesn't do
I
that,
mean,
okay.
it may be of influencing it, but no. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, not from the way they're talking. It sounds like they're just really pissed off that he's selling low quality stuff as they
Right.
see it.
And
Right.
are these miners minors?
They are in fact adult but minors. Very
Exactly.
important to remember.
Crucial.
What?
Where are your parents? Yeah.
No, wait. What type
Minors-
of miner are we talking about?
mi-
Now I'm confused.
Minor. I don't know. Minors are referring to people who are below the adult age. So
Okay.
that's MINORS.
Okay, good. So I did get that right.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
You
okay.
did.
Yeah, River, I think, is going to basically say, I'm trying to think of how to pitch this.
Low ball.
I mean, sorry.
Nothing. Go.
So she basically she wants them to stop fighting and to kind of like calm tensions down and stuff. But what what I'm leaning towards is her saying something like, I thought it was only ignorant men who spoke of the quarrelsome nature of the dwarves. Is that really what you want to be doing here? Fighting each other within sight of those who will look to you and see only what they want to see from this? If you have a discussion you'd like to have together, maybe it should be done sitting down over a pint and just talked out.
Make a traditions check for me. I like that, River.
If anyone wants to inspire the River, I'll just go straight.
Yeah, part of the reason that there's so many inspirations is that for whatever reason, the campaigns this month, people have not needed inspirations, but maybe now that's going to change. So, yeah, I know that Trent's got one left, but there's some other folks in chat who have some inspirations here.
I'm happy to do this straight, actually. Like, I mean, I was gonna go for persuasion, but I'll do traditions first because she is kind of out of her depth. So,
Okay. What would you know about it?
You're certainly bad at being straight, eh?
Hey!
Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
100%.
Look at everyone bringing the noise. Switchblade hammers, jokes about, you know.
Yeah, it's so true. That's it. Only queer rules from here on.
Yeah.
In fact, can I re-roll that clearly?
No. Although I appreciate the
I should have
aspirational concept.
actually, like, I don't know if I've shown you guys these before. Can I just quickly, a friend gave me this absolutely beautiful dice bag that she made, which is
Ooh, wow.
bisexual. And also, like, the dice within are likewise gorgeous, red.
Nice.
Neon stuff.
Awesome. That's really cool.
Super cool.
So yeah, the other thing I wanted to say was, believe it or not, Bolo has not tried anything yet. So Bolo, you have an opportunity here. Like, you can see that things have not been.
Can you imagine he's getting a natural 20 on this one and he's the one scaring off these foods?
I see him going, you know I'm the cook at the battered mug, right?
Oh.
And they're both
Yeah,
going,
yeah.
oh.
Perhaps you recognize Flankseer. Whoops.
Is there? That's actually not far off from what I was going to try. Maybe is there like an open flame nearby? You know, like that they're using. For
Why not?
Yeah. Okay.
Sure, there is.
I say I've always found that a little bit of food helps us talk things over, and I literally just take out Flankseer, go, and I start making something very quick and simple.
But I like that you're doing this on just like a fire that's like and the person's like, what? You just walk over, you just like, what do you you just throw some eggs on it or something? Like,
well, something sweet, you know, so like a simple flatbread with honey or something like that.
I think I'm gonna make the. Oh man, what do I do this for? I think I'm gonna call this persuasion. I'm going to give you a +2 on the check though. Yeah, because I can't really call this intimate. Like, oh my god, have you seen that? Look at the souffle. I've never seen that kind of. So I think we're gonna.
All I can think of right now is like.
I'm going to use a fair bit of English while I'm making it, just to make it a show.
Right, I'm assuming right, straight
to
like,
kinda keep their-
hibachi, like, oh,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that type of thing.
Exactly.
Like, right.
Get things sizzling and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay.
Absolutely. Let's see it. Oh, actually, then, yeah, there you go. I was gonna do that or performance, but
Flankseer does it again.
so you're like this. Do you want to do this? They're like, and then you're like, how about this? Psst, like all this thing, and so they're like, they look over at you, and one looks at the other, and then they're like, perhaps he's not worth it. All right, fine. And he says, what is that food you're cooking? And the young toy maker says, I recognize him. That's the one that's over at the battered mug. That Bolo Took they've been talking about. And one says, I don't know a lot about that, but smells fairly good. Is that a dwarvish recipe you stolen? The one miner says.
No, but I'm using a bit of dwarven spice that I picked up.
What kind of spice? And this now he seems vaguely more curious. Like,
It's a bit of cardamom from the hills.
aye, well, that's the best kind of cardamom. As they come over and they start chatting with you, like basically having forgotten somewhat about this. And
Yeah.
in the meantime, the toy maker to you and Inga in the river says, I'm most grateful for you diffusing that a little bit. It's been all the same lately. These people come in from out of town and all of a sudden they start mocking the kind of stuff that we see here. All of this just for some devotion to metalwork and things of our fathers. Admittedly, it's important, but there's good work being done now, right now, too. We don't always have to spend our time thinking of nothing but the past, after all. I'm grateful to you. My name is Thrun. And he kind of bows deeply.
River bows in return, and says, I don't know if she's had a chance to say this to Inga or not, just to make clear. She says, Rune, it's our honor to meet you. I'm the River, and this is Thane Inga, full title.
Thane Inga, insert rest.
I cast exposition.
Mother of Dragons, Breaker of Chains.
Yes.
And she says,
Holder of holdings.
she says, we were told to seek you out if we heard bad news.
And when the minute you say that, he goes, oh. And he kind of puts a finger to his lips. And he points. And as you, assuming you follow the point, you see a raven. In fact, it looks like a very familiar raven, perched on a nearby lamppost and looking at you very keenly. And Thrun says, that way. And he smiles and then goes back to his stall. And he starts calling out to everyone, all right, show's over. That show. Here's a better show, though. Have I shown you the... And he starts, talking again. And meanwhile, the raven continues to look after you, while Bolo, you're still chatting with the miners. Just before we go to what Inga and the river do, Bolo, one thing that as they're eating the food, and they are very impressed, and they're telling you that, you hear them chatting with each other, and one of them says, the problem is we already cannot rival the metalwork of our fathers. At this pace, the secrets of our masters will be lost at the turn of a generation. And all this only for the sake of the gold of the men of Dale? That gold was ours in the first place. Aye, it was. So you can hear that this seems to be not just their beef, but a long-running problem that maybe the dwarves of the Iron Hills in particular have going on right now with people like Thrun, perhaps. For what that's worth. Go ahead, Bo, if you wanted to say something to that quickly, but then I want to jump back to Inga and the river.
The only thing I'll do is be sort of a good listener, and sort of share. I'll share a bit of meat I had stored in a small cask with them, and just kind of get them talking more. And if they say more about tell me more about that. What's happened?
Well, that's not something that we're supposed to talk. Well, actually, they say, "Oh well, that's not something we're supposed to talk about more." Glug. Yeah. But there's been problems for sure, and some of those problems I can't say about it to outsiders, but discussions with King Dain himself in his own council. They're talking about this now. It's not going to stay the same forever. The dragon may be gone, but old habits die hard. And so basically you get the idea, Bolo, that there is some kind of larger discontent that is building. But these guys just seem to be regular dwarven miners, not particularly high up or whatever. But, the fact that they are saying what seems to be kind of common wisdom, which is that, they're stealing our techniques and they're devaluing dwarven, techniques of smithing also. And so, yeah, this seems to be, it feels a little like inside baseball in terms of politics for you, but it also feels like something that they clearly are very serious about.
Inside baseball?
Not Blazeball. Meanwhile, Inga in the river. So you're looking at this raven. Do you wanna like grab Bolo and go there? Or are you just going yourselves, or what?
If Bolo seems like he is settling in for, I think River is gonna try to like make eye contact with Bolo and
Okay.
just kind of get a sense of, does he want to stay or follow?
Okay.
I'll stay here and I'll kind of chat these guys up, continue to defuse, and you guys can
Okay.
follow up what you're doing.
Okay.
So yeah, that is established and communicated. So River will kind of unobtrusively slip away with Inga to follow the Raven, to get closer to the Raven.
Okay. And just as was the case before, when you get closer, the raven salutes them. Caw! And you can definitely see it is absolutely the same raven that led you. And the bird takes flight, and as you get closer, and lands on, after you sort of follow it, moves slowly, but it ends up landing on a statue right down here. This is known as Red Row, and it's right down in that particular area. And then, as you continue on further, it goes straight over Snapfire Alley, which I believe is... Snapfire Alley is right, yeah, so it sort of leads you there. Then, and it does this sort of circuitous route where it's leading you up and around through passageways and through alleyways. Then it leads you all the way up here to Snapfire Alley, and eventually comes to rest at the top of a small building in the northern portion of the Old Quarter, which you are all familiar with because it's right not that far from Brokenstone, a little bit farther than the Battered Mug, but probably right around maybe here-ish or so is where it lands. And when you arrive there, you're at the building, and he's literally on the sort of gutter on the top. And Caw! And then a small door on the front side of the building cracks open, and a hand beckons from the shadows to bid them quickly inside. To bid you quickly in.
Yeah,
You go in?
Go it? Yeah.
So you're brought in, the door closes, and, well met again, says Balin, son of Fundin, with a smile. And that is where we're going to bring our session to a close. And Tren, I saw your message, and I didn't want to get back to Bard because it wasn't going to fit here, but please remind me if I'd forget that we are going to start with you and Bard next time, and then we'll jump back to... yes, you will. And then Inga the River, and then finally back to Bolo. Good stuff, folks. I love a little mystery and intrigue, and you got to meet somebody cool, with Balin.
He was one of my favorite characters.
I liked Balin a lot
when
too.
I was
yeah.
a kid.
Because he loved Bilbo, and because he could see really well, and
Yeah.
he was fond of Bilbo, and like that was always a
Yeah.
good thing. So,
And
yeah,
like Thorin, who was an ass. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah,
Thorin
yeah,
was
yeah.
an
Yeah, he
asshole
was.
in the book.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, to me, that my favorite two, I think, were always my favorite four were Balin, Fili Kili, and Bomber. And
There is
those.
no way in the world that Lilleman could have carried Bomber. No.
Yeah, Lillemon's strong, but not that strong.
Also,
yet.
we already met Bombor, if you
That's very true. But had not met Balin yet. So see, over time, we just parcel out these characters. Anyway, great job from everybody today. Also, it was fun to see everyone gradually beginning to unravel parts of this. And I will say that in the next session, things open up considerably quite a bit based on what Balin's about to tell you. So there's a lot more like, all right, go figure things out that's sort of happening on this route. So, but I will start as per usual at the bottom of the column. I will begin with Amal. Yeah, good stuff from the river. I was loving the image of you and Inga both trying to you're like, look, Inga being like, do this. And they're like, whatever. And then River's like, hey, let's talk about what dwarves are like, whatever. And Bo's like, how about some omelets? And they're like, hell yes. Like I was loving the image. And also, of course, the performance, if you will, that you had for Balin was a lot of fun to watch too. Talking about Raynor, etc. How did you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
I love, one of the things I love the most with this game is just like the pace shifts from one phase of story to another, and I mean, pre-fellowship, we had like a number of sessions of battle, and this instead was relaxing and intriguing and tense and Balin, and it was just very cool. I really loved River getting to reflect on the dragon stuff because
Yeah.
personally, I've been trying to write something about that episode, basically, because it really lives in my memory as something that was that was very, very potent and transformative and big and stuff. So I liked her having the opportunity to do so in a way that wasn't actually a big performance and stuff. So that was really cool. And yeah, I continue to love like just Bolo's levity throughout is so good, and yeah, it's super great. I just really like it. So yeah, where the friends can find me next. So a couple of things. There, I did what is a sort of masterclass for writing excuses. There's a podcast called Writing Excuses that is run by Brandon Sanderson, Mary Robinette Coal, Howard Taylor, and Dan Wells. And they're doing a thing this year where they've gotten some people to come and give 8-episode masterclasses. And I chose to do a set on poetry. So each episode is about 15 minutes long, and there are 8 of them, and they are ongoing now. We're in like the second one of them. So if you're interested on hearing me talk about poetry as like a thing that you can write if you want, or read in a more appreciative way if you like, then you can tune into Writing Excuses and catch up on that. Other than that, there's like a whole bunch of festivals and things that I am taking part in April that I'll probably be talking about more later, but there's something called GIFCon that is the Glasgow International Fantasy Conference, I think, that is happening at the end of April and that I'm a keynote speaker at, and they just opened up to registration. So if you're interested in hearing people talk about like fantasy writing and stuff like that, it's super cool. I'll probably drop links into the chat and stuff about that. And I'm also very excited that This Is How You Lose the Time War, these book, it has just had a Brazilian edition come out.
Nice.
So yeah, it's now available in 10 languages, which is very cool. And there's a French edition coming out in May as well, and a German edition. I forget if I told you, Tari, is coming. I think I did say.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Brazilian one, there's also a festival that I'm going to be in attendance at there and stuff. So, but I've forgotten the dates, so I will leave that be for now. But otherwise, yeah. So a bunch of stuff. Otherwise, I will obviously be here next session. That's basically it.
That's good stuff. Thank you, Amal, as always. And yeah, really, really exciting stuff. I mean, I'm not going to continue to wax poetic, if you will, about how great the Time War book is, but again, it was great, and it was one of the things during my end of semester class evaluations last semester that people were like, this was the most amazing experience to get Amal and Max to be able to talk to us about that, and Martha Wells. They got real lucky that they got all of them, in one semester. So they were really impressed with that book. And I was very delighted that it worked as well. And I look forward to teaching it for quite some time because it really is well done. So anyway, always a pleasure, Mal. Thank you. Also a pleasure, as always, to have had Terry with us. And Terry, there was a lot of... I think you can already see some of it, but more of it is, of course, on the way, about more focus on dwarves and dwarven doings and dwarven things and all that. So that was something. I actually was noting your reaction to when Balin was like, "Oh, you must be Thaning," and you being like, "Oh, dang!" Like Lord Balin has said, "What's up?" So
Lord Balin knows who I am.
Yeah,
Then I notice me.
yeah, exactly. It was really, I was having a lot of fun with that, and of course, also I think it was interesting to me to kind of see. I love the moment where you're just like, what about Balin? And you're like going ahead and River being like, I think what she means is, that whole thing was fun. So how did you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
A lot of fun, as always, of course. But yeah, like, yay, Balin! Oh, I did actually consider naming my cat Barlin when I was a kid, but like, I set it on Merlin actually, because then I was like naming Gandalf, and then like everybody was like, no, you can't. That's too nerdy. And I was like, okay, Merlin, the original, fine.
Whatever.
So, but yeah, so yeah, that's good. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to all the dwarf stuff happening. Yay!
More dwarf stuff.
More dwarf stuff. Yay! So yeah. Oh yeah, Echo. We are wrapping up because time shift. Like they are like an hour in the future.
Yes, indeed.
And
Although
we're still in the past.
they're still in the past. It gives me,
Well, technically, I'm still in the future, but just like 1 hour less in the future.
For now.
For now. So, yeah, that. I have like major brain fog lately. I'm sorry. Shift and meds. It's having its toll. But yes, where can people find me? On Twitter and on Instagram. At TariTools, and occasionally here on Tuesdays.
Yep. And in 2 weeks, hopefully, back here for the return of Gamebook illustration streams with illustration not just done through Zoom share, but actually like the live. You see her hand and like the whole. It's visceral. You're there at the moment when the thing with the art is happening, and
yes,
so that's
because
super
my
exciting.
tablet stopped working with current version of Windows, so I tried to figure out a way how to film myself drawing like on paper and stuff. So that's going to be a first in the stream. So
And better, but it'll be better for your arm though, right? So that's
it will be.
Yeah.
It will be much better. So yeah.
That's great. So I'm super excited about that. That is happening soon. And yeah, but thank you to Terry for being awesome. Anyone who has ever used any of the emotes in this channel are like, wow, these are the most incredible emotes I've ever seen. Well, you can thank Terry for most of them because they were done with her expert guidance. And if and when the channel gets partnered, please Twitch, when that happens, then I look forward to having more emotes that I would commission Terry to do. But anyway, Terry, always a pleasure. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Also, it was a pleasure to have Brad doing Bolo. And again, Brad, like, yeah, I agree entirely. I love Bolo's. It's not just the levity; it's the fact that, there was a little bit of a discussion of Balin, of course, who has great fondness for hobbits for obvious reasons. But the fact that just the image of Bolo standing in the back being like, yeah, you don't want to mess and then being like, wait a minute, like really what this is about, I need to pull out flank, like I got to bring out the big guns, and that means I need to cook you pancakes, like I need to,
They just have low blood sugar.
Yeah,
all
like
the
that,
time.
right? Exactly. It's like the Snickers commercial, right? Like you're
Relatable.
not yourself when you're hungry. Like you need
We're
to,
hangry.
you're hangry. And I loved watching Bolo do that. And in the meantime, and this is also something I find interesting about Bolo, I think the company would agree, the players would agree, is that Bolo manages to get information anyway. Like this happened last time with Brindle also, in that last portion of the adventure, that he gets information anyway, but doing it his own way. So he's like hanging out with them and they're like, oh yeah, this, you're like, oh yeah, tell me more. And you're like totally like the, the bartender, right? Except with it just sort of like, oh yeah, really, as you're, shoveling out more food or whatever. So I was loving watching that develop. How did you feel about today? Where will the folks find you next?
Yeah, it was a fun session. Yeah, it's always interesting to introduce different sorts of expectations for other characters. We're in this sort of a hardened, city, and they come across someone who's not like that, and it sort of disarms them sometimes. So it's fun to play that sort of character sometimes. And the session itself, I mean, this game is well designed and it's well run by Arv, and but one of the main reasons you would play it is to sort of be able to interact with this story, this world that you love, and so coming across Balin was awesome. But I will put a special note to the Raven as well, because one of my favorite bit characters was the Raven at the
Roak, son of
back
Clark,
doorway,
right?
right?
Yeah.
That was great stuff. I when I first read that way back when, I just loved that little bit, of information, and they had this language and stuff, and they were giving them clues, and that was so cool. So it was neat coming across a Raven, in this adventure as well. So that was really fun.
That's good stuff.
So what I have a number of things coming up this year. I actually have 2 books coming out this year, and then there's different editions coming out. So there's a French edition of the 4th book coming out, and so there's some interviews coming up. So when those are available, I'll be sure to spread the news. So those are the big things. And then this is a ways away yet, but I'm considering Gen Con. I'm not sure how big that's going to be this year, actually, but that's my favorite convention, and so hopefully that'll come through in person. Hopefully I can make it there. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I should say that as the person who co-coordinates the Argents library, Argents is actually later than Gen Con, because I think they got there first, frankly. So it'll be interesting to see. And that, I think late October is not, or no, late September, early October, basically, I think is not unreasonable given vaccination patterns.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, and it's certainly not at the same levels maybe, but I don't think it's impossible given what these vaccines are doing. Anyway, yeah, so I'm with you. I really hope so, because man, do I miss. I've been able to do different conventions and stuff like that virtually. I know we've all been able to do stuff like that, but it's nice, but it's not the same as seeing your friends in person. So yeah, so. Hope for the best, but thank you, Brad. Always good stuff. And yeah, and I will just, again, I've already, raved about Amal's work quite a bit, but I just, again, want to put in a plug for Brad's work. Brad's a really good professional writer, and I have always enjoyed reading his epic stuff. He and I think, are similar in our particular love for epic fantasy, and Brad really writes good work, so you should check out Brad's stuff, too, if you're not already done so. Last but certainly not least, of course, Tren, who does not write epic fantasy, but is a hell of a voice actor and narrator. Tren, good stuff today as well from Tani, and it was interesting. You were obviously dealing with the bar stuff, but I was thinking about that when you were dealing with, after having rescued Balin, going back, there was a moment where you had this really subtle, I think, important thing where you're like hackles raised, because you're like head on a swivel, because you're like, his guy got attacked, like this guy, and we're not totally safe here. So this sense of we need to be careful about the people around us, even in moments that might seem otherwise, oh, this is the next part of the adventure. But you're like, yes, but still we need to watch out for the possibility of other attacks. I thought was fun. It was interesting to watch. What did you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
I swear, if I don't see a switchblade hammer come up somewhere, I'm going to be really upset. That was brilliant.
Switchblade hammer. Oh my god.
Just the idea of somebody trying to use a butterfly hammer and just the weight of it just slinging back and forth.
Oh man.
I thought today went really, really well. I thought it was a lot of fun. When you first put the image up for the view down the thing, and everybody's like, broccoli. I was kind of I was sending images to Amal, but
I noticed, yes.
And so the conversations of broccoli and stuff came up, and I was like, what? And so I had kind of missed the first one. I'm like, what are they talking about? And I finally focused on the game again, and I'm like, I don't see broccoli anywhere in there. There's a body right there, but what is the deal with broccoli? I'm like, don't say anything. Just go on, and we'll. Oh, we need to roll something. Okay, fine. But yeah, it was today. And it is just. It's always so lovely when you get a cascade of characters trying to perform a check, and it doesn't work, and then the one you're like, there's no way, and then they just nail it, and I love it when that comes up. It's just so much fun. And I was, as we were talking about what is Tawny doing during the toy thing, and I was like, no, he's going off to do something else, and I was like, but this time he's not hiding in his room,
right? different whole thing. Yeah.
A totally different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just. I was trying to figure out how am I going to get him out of this? What justification would he have? You can't really go back to check on the queen. He was just here.
Right.
He was on his way back to Haven, and ran in there. It's like, oh, well, let's go back. I was like, maybe he could, check in on the healers, because they're trying to push more like little clinics out into the lesser neighborhoods and whatnot. He could go and help with that. I'm like, he was just here. How is he gonna? And I'm like, wait, We were with Molly. We were he didn't see the boat full of people. We did. One of us needs to be there to tell them about. I'll do that. But yeah, I really thought today was a lot of fun, and just really looking forward to the next thing where I will completely forget to tell you that we're starting with Bard and
Agreed.
When is our do we have a no, we're gonna have
We don't have a set time. It's not next week, which is Patreon fueled chosen game of the month. It's not the 6th. It's probably, although I'll check this with all of you, probably the 13th, and it might be the 13th and the 20th, which would be the 2 Tuesdays in the middle of the month of April. That's my guess. So yeah. When Trent, where can they find your stuff? Specifically?
Well, there's a lot of it on Audible. If you look for BattleTech stuff from Catalyst Game Labs, I do a lot of narration for them.
You sure do.
I'm wrapping up the last book in the trilogy, the Grey Death Legion trilogy, the first 3 books in the saga, and I'm getting ready to start on a whole bunch more shorter stuff. But before that happens, on April 1st, which is coming up sometime in the very near future, probably next Saturday, I think.
Next Thursday, but yes.
April 1st.
April 1st.
Oh, right.
next
Sorry,
Thursday.
I was looking at May 1st. Sorry, I had already pushed my calendar forward 1 month and wasn't paying attention. So yes, Thursday. My next narration for Escape Pod is coming up, and that one is going to be, because it's April Fool's Day, so it's going to be a blast, and it's a lot of fun. I really had a lot of fun narrating that story. It's going to be really good.
Awesome stuff. We will look forward to that and to everything going on from all of the wonderful players. Chat, good stuff out of chat today as well. Can we get some love for our wonderful players, for Trendane Sparks, for Brad Bollier, for Terry Tunes, and for Amal Amatar? Wonderful work from everyone. Players, pleasure as always, and I will see you folks next month for things.
Bye.
Bye for
Bye.
now. Alrighty. And that, as they say, is going to do it for today on this channel, but it is not going to do it overall, because if you like this and you're like, wow, this is great, tabletop games, I want to see much more of this, because I noticed we had some new folks in chat, let me tell you that this is not the only place you can see it, because there is more that is happening. You've got stuff going on, actually. Coming up in about an hour and a half, a little bit less than that, hour and 20 minutes or so, starting again at 5 p.m. Eastern. Normally I start at 4 p.m. on GOG, but I'm starting at 5 to accommodate the daylight savings difference between there and here. And so you'll be able to find me over there at 5 p.m. With the, as I move this over to reflect, nope, that's too far. I'll get this all set eventually. There we go. Now you get to see this. You get to see the DM's shields, the DM's guides, all of the games. It's great. But yes, so you're going to get a chance to do that. I'm going to get some lunch and do some prep, and then at 5 p.m. I will be over at GOG for D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder. That is in the middle of a huge fight that's going on a ship. There are giants involved, and they're trying to save a giant, and they've got a whole bunch of stuff happening. So you are not going to want to miss that, because that is some crazy stuff. We are in the end game, very much the end game of Storm King's Thunder, which has been running for a long time. So if you want to see that amazing crew, you need to check that out and join up with those folks ASAP. So that's going to be happening 5 p.m. over at GOG. Then tomorrow night, I want to make sure that everyone is back here at, I believe, 9 p.m. Eastern for the amazing Shadow Crew, Community D&D, Dragon of Ice Spire Peak with Shadowed Mage as your DM. And you've got Triffity Mats, you've got Echo Alpha X5, you've got Rock God, and you've got Hoodie, who are your players. That has been really fun, that campaign. Thursday, we are off. Friday, we will be back Friday evening. I'll be part of the Speculate Twitch joint event of Rebel Crown that I am playing in with Mike Underwood as the GM. And that is also, and that's with Brandon O'Brien, Dongwon Song, and Alex Axe are my fellow players there. Then on Saturday, we have got Metroid Prime that I'm going to be able to play. I rescheduled that, so that's going to be happening. But there is one other thing that I want to mention just before everyone leaves. Last thing that we have to remember here is this, because I'm close closing this poll down after the next 2 minutes, basically. So now is your time. I have got right now this up here. That is not what I wanted. There we go. So, what game should I play for the March Patreon-fueled Chat Chosen Game of the Month? It's between Rain City and Heaven's Vault. Again, Rain City is kind of a noir mystery, animal mystery, with that Mrs. Dunslow suggested. And Heaven's Vault is by Inkle. This is the company that does Sorcery 3 and all the Sorcery books, and which is about an archaeologist trying to figure out, basically translating alien languages. It seems very cool and very much on brand for Inkle. And so get your vote in now, because I'm going to close this down in just about, 30 seconds to a minute. And yeah, man, I love the light this place gets. It's such a cool experience just being in a place where I literally don't have to turn on a single light until we get to like 7 p.m. and obviously it'll be later in the summer. And then obviously, yeah, I have to turn on the lighting, and the lighting for the evening is fine. I'm still working on getting my lighting working, but otherwise it's just bang. It's got all the light you could want. And I have to turn the aperture down actually, because that's the deal. Do I play the part of Indiana Jim? No. In that one, I actually play Venner Crace, who is a kind of sort of a veteran who has been kind of screwed over because his battle plans were not followed through. And my cousin, played by Alex Sachs, they are the sort of the person that we're trying to return to the throne. And so, yeah, that's what I play in that ones. Yeah, they're all good. Well, one thing that I would say about this, and I should say Feminazgul, I'm a fan of the name, by the way, but that those games, if the chosen one that you want, like if you're voting for one or the other, it doesn't win, please remember you can always renominate it for the following month. Trendane was nominated World of Goo a bunch of months in a row. It finally got on there, and not only did I play it, I liked it, and I'm put it into my kind of regular rotation as a game that I'm going to play. And so that's the deal with that. So going once, going twice. All right, Heaven's Vault it is. So the winner is Heaven's Vault. So Heaven's Vault is going to be the Patreon-fueled Chat Chosen Game of the Month, and that'll happen next Tuesday at this same time slot from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern. So that's what we've going on with that. Otherwise, so I mentioned Metroid Prime, and then the last thing this weekend is Sunday. We've got more of Brandon O'Brien with Sound Clash: The Clampdown, which is going to be really cool. So you're going to want to stop in for that also. And I think, and Toonstruck before that, that's right. So no raid today because we are going to be going over to GOG here in about an hour and 15 minutes or so. If you like what you saw and heard, please make sure to follow the channel. Please check out my YouTube with !ArvTube. Discord is !ArvCord. Twitter is !ArvTweets. Website is arvanelaron.com. On the financial side, !ArvShop will let you get some merchandise. If you liked the Adventures of Middle-earth crew and you wanted to see a shirt like the one that Tren was repping today, then you can definitely go there. That supports the channel and will help you. And also, we've got, what's up, Dragon Spear? Also, we have got on the Patreon, !Arvtreon, 21 patrons, $193 per month. This is what makes it possible for me to do like that Patreon-fueled Chat Chosen Game of the Month. This is also what allowed me to get this awesome camera that I have now, which I love so much, that lets me do something cool like this and have it zoom in and actually focus, and then go back to this and zoom back to my face. I can't tell you how cool it is. I really have been so happy with this camera, and I was able to get that because of the support of the Patreon. We just got, for those of you who missed it, we announced that we got Brandon O'Brien is getting a new computer shipped to him, which means he's going to be able to use that for his production of the shows that he does on this channel and just creativity in general. And he was really, really happy about that, and that's being sent to him basically thanks to the generosity of the Patreon that we've been able to build up. So this is all money that goes directly back into the channel or into my writing, which really happens. Yeah, that it has a really good zoom option, which is one of the reasons that I got this one, Dragon. And Dragon Spear, by the way, in the channel is the one who consulted and made it possible and actually made the order, which was really cool. So I really am thankful to Dragon Spear as always, who not only did my gaming computer, which is sitting right here where you can't see it, but also has been so generous to the channel and was able to put together an awesome computer. So thank you, Dragon, for doing that as well. Anyway, that's all thanks to the amazing Patreon, !Arvtreon. Yeah, sure you don't. That's the deal with that. Also, you can get inspirations to help the players. Several inspirations were used today. And you have, of course, the sub button, which allows you to get custom sub badges and emotes, and also get inspirations to help the players as well. On the publishing side, Icarus. Big announcement coming about Icarus, folks, within the next day or so. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm super excited about that. Also, more information coming from Athos in terms of something else that we're working on, but more details about that to come. So you can get details about that over at that link, Icarus. Library is Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment. All we're waiting for is the physical copies. And I'm tired of saying it, but it has to get out of customs, and it's not my. It's nobody's fault anymore except customs. Like, please, God, just release the damn. Come on, like, please. Anyway, it will be here soon, and I can't wait. And I can't wait to hold it in my hands. It's gonna be really exciting. And of course, we've got exclamation point. So there's that exclamation point library, and exclamation point Gray Shade KS is my Gray Shade Kickstarter. More details about that coming soon as well, because that is going to be going out in April. Is when that's going to be releasing, and so that's the deal with that also. Last but certainly not least, exclamation point BLM, Black Lives Matter, and continues to be important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives and protecting Black lives. And so please make sure that you go there for information. There are resources, educational and otherwise, places to donate and the like. And exclamation point Help Now is the World Health the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. That also can be found at that link, exclamation point Help Now. Reach out to others if they need help, and to others if you need help as well. I want to thank everyone who made this an awesome stream today. Thank you for my wonderful mods, Dragonspear, Hillness, Triffity Mats, best in the business. Thank you to my wonderful subscribers as well, Dragonspear, Hillness, Triffity Mats, Nonstop, Errant, Live Suing, and Trendane. Thank you all so much, as well to the Patreon folks there too. Thank you also to all of the viewers, to 5Nauf. Thank you to Axeman, to ECAG, Electrical Longboard, which I probably have to get rid of because I think that's a bot. Extra More, Feminazgul, Garlic Tofu, Gigafrost, Gorgar. Thank you, 40 Hands. Welcome. Oh, Farty Hands? I guess I'll thank you. I don't know what to make of that name, but I guess I'll thank you for the follow. Thank you to Feminazgul, the Garlic Tofu, Gigafrost, Gorgar. Got with him. Thank you to Joint Effort, to Tauntoms. Thank you to T-Back. Thank you to Tuddled. Thank you to you, Christensen, and thank you, of course, to VNK. Thank you all so much for that, and I will see all of you lovely folks at 5 p.m. Eastern over on GOG for Pen and Pixels and D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder. Until then, please, everyone be good to each other, and I'll see you folks soon. Have a good one.